The NFL regular season is finished. Does that mean that opportunities to make money here on Pub Sports Radio have come to an end? No!
The NFL playoffs are here, and so is the Pub Sports Radio Confidence Pool. $100 to enter, with only 3% going to cover credit card fees. And as always, top 10% gets paid.
There are 13 NFL playoff games culminating in the Super Bowl in Santa Clara, California. 6 games in the wild card round, 4 in the divisional round, 2 in the conference round, and then the Super Bowl, which means you have 13 slots to fill. And you have to decide how confident you are on each game. Now, these picks are straight up. They are not against the spread. Each week, before the kickoff of the first game, you must have your picks in, pubsportsradio.com. So your most confident bet of the entire playoffs would fill your 13th slot. Your least confident spot, the one you question and you're not sure of, will be the number 1 slot. And you fill in these slots as we go through the playoffs. The capper with the most points, when it's all said and done, wins the confidence pool.
Sign up right now at pubsportsradio.com.
Get that cash. Get it. Get it.
Wide open Torrence! Oh, baby! Touchdown! How do you leave the best receiver in the NAIA that wide open?
You show, and that's what we do! Cat!
You're proud of me?
And it's caught! Oh my goodness! Troy Torrence comes down with it!
Welcome all to Bankroll Blitz right here on Pub Sports Radio. We have reached the playoffs, and what a roller coaster ride of a regular season just took place. We now turn the page and attack the playoffs. I know that missed kick is something that will probably be in your thoughts for the rest of your life, but it does just add a little bit more armor on you, a lot more armor on you. What you went through, it's the worst of it. And then when you've been through the worst of it, everything becomes easier to take on. Everything moving forward.
You couldn't have said it better, because when that kick missed from the Ravens, I had all these money line parlays. Very important game for me. When that kick missed, I was downstairs. I was by myself. I just sat there in silence. I mean, there's no kicking and screaming anymore. That's old me, but mentally, like, it's really hard. It's really difficult on me. It's difficult on everyone, because you're weighing so many things in life. You got your family, you got work, you got sports, you got just so many things going on. And so it's just really taxing. And at some point, it's like, it's hard to keep your focus with everything, with all the noise surrounding you. When you're winning, it's easier to lock in and stay laser focused. It's when you're losing, and I'm letting it snowball, and I got to stop it this week. And I feel like I got a good lineup here. And I know I texted you about some of this, my early initial leans, and a lot of those have changed. Not a lot. Some of those have changed. So
I've bounced back and forth through a couple spots as well, myself. All I can tell you is that your armor is thicker than it was 72 hours ago. And when you've been through what you just went through, everything else in life becomes easier. One of the more difficult parts, though, you will find, and something that I need to mention to you because it's affected me, is you start losing compassion for other things in life because of the intensity of these feelings. I tell you, as a friend and a colleague and one of the cappers here at Pub Sports Radio, you have made us so much better, so much stronger. And these variance type, kicks being missed like this, it's not always going to be that way. And, but you're tougher and stronger than you were 72 hours ago, man.
I appreciate it, man. I work my ass off, and I know it's part of the game. And this kid knows how to open the door now, so he sneaks up. Yep, there he is, Tatum. Why don't you say hello to Jimmy? Say hi, Jimmy.
What up, Big Tatum, my man? How are you? Looking good. I had locks on my door until my office door until they were 5. Four.
Well, he knows how to open the doors. Tatum, say hi to Jimmy. Say hi, Jimmy.
What's up, Tatum, my man?
Tatum, you little crap. Get up.
Tatum, we got football to cap, Tatum, my man. Thank you guys all for joining us. We got Fireside, Jada in the house, Sky Dragon, Toby Lane. We have a great group here. Dougie Wise, Harold Williams, No Ball, Donut Silks, Brett Sturgeon, Nico Harrison, Crystal Craig, the Wager Detective, Kong's Clips. We have action coming in from our cappers in the chat. There's Man Bear Pig in the house.
Jimmy, I just want to piggyback on what you were saying because I appreciate it. And it was a serious moment. And him walking in was really frustrated me. And just little things like that. There's not one damn thing that goes right now. Not one thing is going right. But I really appreciate it. It's really tough. I mean, I've closed with value. The 3 weeks, I'm down double-digit units 3 weeks in a row. And I've closed with value in every single week, over 80% clip, every single week. And, what do I have to show for it? I'm down 30 units in that time frame. So I just got to lock back in and do what I do. And I know things will turn around.
They will. They will. But don't underestimate the armor that just got thicker. It will help you handle more difficult gambling situations than this, because the way we're going, our unit size will only grow, and the importance of our success will only grow as well. So this is just more armor for you to handle the ups and downs that lay ahead for us, that I'm very excited about. I am so excited working with you, very excited working with these cappers in the chat, and I'm very excited to attack this week. The week was, okay for me. The mistakes I made, I was very upset about. The reason here that I didn't get hurt by the Ravens spot was because I had futures on them, and I was just not going to compound losses. So, I don't know what, I believed in the Ravens in that spot with you, but I didn't move on them because of the importance for them to succeed for me. For the week, as your week started off very well, hammering Seattle in every which way, it started off poorly for me because I still thought San Francisco could put some points up. That initial over 49.5 was atrocious. The first half over 24 I added right before the game, so that was loss. Carolina, Tampa Bay, first half under, full game under was cash, very easy. The Bengals -7 and Bengals double result, loss.
I didn't know you got there with the first half full game under.
For Carolina, Tampa?
Yeah. That's
awesome. I get that out here with you. That was my.
I didn't know you moved on it on Tuesday.
I bet that before.
That's right. That's right. You just had to hammer the opposite side to make sure there was no stone left unturned. That's really what you did in that spot.
For Carolina, Tampa?
Yeah. Remember? I mean, we were battling about the total right out the gate last week.
Yeah, in games of this importance, I just believe in unders. I believe in unders in the most important games of the year. So I came in with that first half under and full game under. Tennessee, Jacksonville, first half over and full game over, cash. Houston, first half push. Houston, full game -10. Obviously, Cam Ward getting hurt ruined all of that. On the other hand, New England, first half team total over 13.5. I mean, that was the easiest bet. I mean, I should have hammered that. Washington, Philadelphia, first half under, full game under, cash. And then the Vikings triple up meant the week to me. Vikings -7.5. Vikings double result. Green Bay team total under 14.5. That was all just guessing that Toon would be starting. Toon's announced the starter, 24 hours after I bet it, and those numbers go haywire. I bet real heavy on that Green Bay team total under 14.5 because it was -150, so not real heavy, but 2 units on that. Although, of course, it counts for 1 here. Tampa Bay -2.5. I added that as we talked about before the game. That hurt me. Buffalo first half cashed. Baltimore, Pittsburgh first half under cashed, and the full game under lost. So it was a 12-9 plus 1.8 unit week. Go over your week, and then let's attack the playoff card.
Yeah, so I started off good. I had the first half full game under with the Panthers. That was good. The Bucks -2.5. You get backdoored. That was the start of the the unfavorable variance, which has just really consisted through the past 5 weeks. Seahawks was probably my best handicap of the week. The 49ers team total, I had 3 bets on the Seahawks, money line -1, -2.5. Bet it all the way up, had a blended -1.25. 49ers team total under 24.5 was a winner. That line went plummeting late in the week. I got massive Sylvia there. That was my winner. And then I had the Texans first half -6, which pushed because of a 92-yard drive to finish the half by Riley Leonard. Bengals double result was a loser. It was probably the worst loss I've had all season, even though it was only 1 unit. It was just inconceivable that they were not able to win the first half and win the full game in that situation. Falcons -3. I got backdoored again because of a missed field goal. What do you know? Falcons missed a field goal late in that game. The Carolina Panthers say, we don't need a field goal to make it a 1-score game. We're going to go get a touchdown. They do exactly that. Jags Titans over 47.5 was a winner. Would have been a blowout winner, but a little bit more unfavorable variance. Lucky this bet got there. My quarterback, Cam Ward, got hurt, so I was missing half of the total. Still went over. Giants Cowboys under 49.5 went over in the final 2 possessions. Patriots Dolphins over 45.5 was a winner despite some nonsense that happened. Bears -3. I could have got lucky in this game. Wasn't the case. Ravens -2.5. Ravens first half money line. We're 2 winners with the Ravens. And then here's what do I got here? How many bets is this? This is 10 losing bets on the Ravens, -3, and 6 money line parlays. And all of them went up into flames with that field goal. Especially the -172 was painful. It's really my first loss on laying a big number on the money line, which was looking like I was doing the right thing, right? They're about to kick a field goal to win by 3, essentially. There's a 3-point game, pretty much. Ravens lose, and then
I can't understand what Harbaugh was doing with timeouts. Yes, your kicker is 30 for 33, but those 3 losses all came over 40 or between over 45 or when that was a 44-yarder. It was so easy to move up there. You had all your timeouts in your pocket. It was so easy. Even the kneel down.
They lost 3 yards.
I was beside myself with the kneel down. I don't understand, but again,
me too. Easy firing after that.
Yeah.
And and so many things in that game that could be called out and nitpicked. Harbaugh really, really ate shit this week.
Unfortunately. Well, that is the case. So we go into the playoffs with strong records. Nothing to be ashamed of, strong records. Now, you were having a season that we've not seen before, and you came back down to earth. Well, let's go climb once again. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Let's get started. We start Saturday, January 10th, 4:30 p.m. Eastern. NFC wildcard playoffs. LA Rams 12-5, 5-4 on the road. The Carolina Panthers 8-9, 5-3 at home. Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina. I've done 2 weather checks on all these games. I did one yesterday, and then I did one about 2 hours ago, just because I was a little nervous about some of these spots. The weather in Charlotte, the wind has changed dramatically. It's gotten much nicer. The conditions have gotten much nicer. I'll check it again, see if anything's changed here in the last little bit. But at this point right now, 70 Fahrenheit light rain. So this was full rain yesterday. It's light rain now, and 12-mile-per-hour winds. Right now, the wind gets stronger throughout the game. But, so, and also now at 8 p.m. Eastern, so this game starts at 4:30, we have full rain again. So this has changed again in the last 3 or 4 hours. So now it's supposed to be nice conditions. It's going to start light rain, and the wind's going to start picking up. And then by the end of the game, it's 16-mile-per-hour winds and full rain showers. So again, you got to keep looking at this. The reason why I'm hooked up on it is because of the first time these teams saw each other. That game, to me, was not obviously, 31-28 Panthers victory in week 13. When there's such a high-scoring game that may be in people's memory, I immediately want to take the other side. I've been very interested in this under for as soon as, I started studying it. So we're over 48 hours. I've come so close to betting it a couple times, but I have not done it at this point. Let's get into the line history and the cash flow. The Rams are a minus 10.5. I had some interest in the Panthers. That's waned as I've watched this line. This line opened up at a 10, and it's now a 10.5. We've had a half-point move towards the Rams. And then this total's been sitting here at 46.5, and it's not been moving. There was an initial 3-cent move towards the under just a little after midnight yesterday, and then it came right back. So we're right back from where we started with this total at 46.5. From a cash flow perspective, I've moved back to hockey. Sorry, let me just get back to football. From a cash flow perspective, the Rams are getting hit. They're getting bet hard. 75% of the tickets, 88% of the cash are on the LA Rams, 59% of the tickets, and 79% of the cash on the under. And Circa has moved it now to 11. That happened at 6:23 p.m. tonight. So about an hour and 45 minutes ago, they moved this to 11. It's pretty wild. It is pretty wild. It's DG. Skydragon says, why are the Rams favored by doubles? This defense has been a disaster for a month. And Skydragon says Detroit couldn't score down the stretch, hung 34. Seattle hung 38. Atlanta never scores, hung 27. Arizona went up and down for 3 quarters. So let's dive deeper here. Start with the Rams' statistical profile. Their passing offense ranked 1st, rushing offense 5th, red zone offense 7th. They score touchdowns 63.2% of the time. And a bunch of those games are without Davante Adams, who's their biggest weapon, who will be back for this. Third down offense ranked 17th, 39.6%. Now, when we talk about Davante Adams, do I think he's capable of playing 3 straight games, 3 straight weeks right now? I'd say the answer is no. I think he gets hurt at some point over this playoff drive, which is not a fun thing to think about when you have 20-1 on the Rams for the Super Bowl.
Why do you think that, Jimmy?
Because this was his 3rd straight injury this year to the same body part. 3 times he's been hurt.
All hamstring?
All hamstrings. There's no way at this point that he can play 3 weeks in a row right now. I don't think so. I don't think so. So
and he's not playing this week.
He is. I have Davante Adams in here. So if anybody has him out,
I thought he was in too. That's just shot. I should have said it. He shouldn't be playing here.
Okay. Then. Davante Adams is in. Terrence Ferguson is in. Quentin Lake. We're all going to talk about these guys who are in right now. So their third down offense has been a bit of a problem all year for some reason. 17th ranked third down offense, converting 39.6% of the time. Pass defense ranked 1st, rush defense 2nd, red zone defense 3rd. I mean, this is a quality defense, but as Skydragon's saying, it's not been the case for the last little while. We'll keep discussing this. This third down defense ranked 7th, pass rush ranked 3rd, and their special teams have been a bit of a problem. They're ranked 26th. If this closes at 10.5, Troy, the Rams will be the biggest road favorites in NFL playoff history. That's wild.
It's appealing.
It's appealing to be on the other side of that, sure.
No, on the other side of that, I want to be on that side.
It's appealing on both from I can
true. Because that's where I started. That's what I started on the other. I texted you, talking about the Panthers.
The number is appealing. The push towards the Rams at this point could easily get me off of this. Dougie Y says Rams should smoke them. Vincent Hawkins says the Rams steamroll these kids. There's my guy Robert Cherry in the house. DG says Atlanta versus the Rams, 345 yards, 6.5 yards per play. Atlanta versus Nola, 208 yards and 3.4 yards per play. He says there's been many such cases down the stretch. Give me the home dog with all those points. Now, at this point, you can sit back and wait because I did have more time with 6 games on the board to really get my analysis in. And I looked, so throughout this whole year, I came into the show and I didn't look at one article or one thing that anybody written at all. It was all just my own, bringing in my own stats, my own statistical profile, setting up the stats. That's all I did. Now, today, I got to look at what others were thinking about this game, and it was Rams, 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 and Rams. I did not see one person on the Carolina Panthers.
Like to hear that.
The Rams closed their season with 37-20 home victory over the Arizona Cardinals, snapped a 2-game losing streak. The noise-canceled score was 32-19 Rams. The Rams dressed their starters and still found themselves trailing in the third quarter. Stafford was 25 of 40 for 259 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. He passed Dan Marino for 7th place on the NFL's career touchdown passes list while finishing his season, which he hopes ends with an MVP, with 46 touchdowns. That's the second most in league history by a quarterback at least 37 years old. Tyler Higbee returned from injury, led receivers with 5 catches for 91 yards and a touchdown. Puka Nacua caught 10 for 76 yards and a touchdown. Kyron Williams ran for 12 times for 60 yards, and Blake Corum came back from the injury with no qualms. He ran 13 times for 59 yards. The offense was 10 of 17 on 3rd and 4th down, went 2 of 4 in the red zone, but this defense has not looked very good in recent weeks. They allowed the Panthers to put up 6 yards per. They allowed the Panthers there, but of course they allowed the Cardinals to put up 6 yards per play. They held the Cardinals to 5 of 13 on 3rd and 4th down and 1 of 3 in the red zone. The pass rush was formidable as always, with 6 sacks and 12 quarterback hits. So the Rams this year were 7th in the NFL at generating pressure, and the Panthers ranked 30th in block win rate. So when you start looking at the statistical profile of these two teams, it leads you to a Rams smash and grab. When you start analyzing what the Rams have looked like over the last 4 weeks, it makes you think that the Panthers are live here, just like they were very live in week 13. Akila Witherspoon had an interception. Now, wide receiver Jordan Whittington injured his knee with making a tackle on special teams first quarter. He didn't return. And special teams, Sean Dolak, who's huge, he's very good on special teams, and this is not a good special teams group, hurt his knee. Both are listed as questionable. As I said, Devontae Adams, Terrence Ferguson, who's been great, and Quentin Lake are all expected to return from injury and be back for this. Ferguson was great this year. 11 catches for 231 yards, 3 touchdowns. He played 14 games, started 3 of them. It's a nice rookie year. Lake had 61 tackles, 10 passes defensed, and 1 interception in 10 games. All starts. So it's huge to have him back. Adams had 60 receptions for 789 yards and a league-leading 14 touchdowns in 14 games prior to his injury. Here is another part of this. The offensive line, Kevin Dotson, might be able to return, but Havenstein is not coming back for this. He's still going to be week to week. So Dotson may be back, but Havenstein will not be back. Under coach Sean McVay, the Rams are 11-7 straight up and 12-6 against the spread when facing teams they lost to earlier in the season. They're 6-1 straight up and against the spread as road favorites of 7.5 to 14 points. 6-1 straight up and against the spread as road favorites of 7.5 to 14 points. So who did that one loss come to? This opponent. This is the team. This is the only team that has covered against the Rams as a for the Panthers as a home dog, but for the Rams as a road favorite. This is the only team that's done it. The Rams put up 36.8 points per game over the final 5 games of the season. So this offense is absolutely humming. Let's talk about the Panthers. Passing offense 20th, rushing offense 25th, red zone offense 24th, third down offense 25th. It's a below average defense. Offense is a bottom 10 offense. Pass defense ranked 15th. Rush defense ranked 23rd. Red zone defense has been pretty good at times, ranked 14th, allowing touchdowns 55.2% of the time. Their third down defense, second worst in the NFL. They allow conversions 47.1% of the time. This is the second worst pass rush, the 20th ranked special teams. They're coming in off a 16-14 loss at Tampa in the final game of the regular season. Noise cancel score is 19-15 Tampa. So they come into the postseason with a 1-3 record since that bye. They had the late week 14 bye. This is a team that's minus 69 point differential on the season. Bryce Young was 24-35 for 266, 2 touchdowns, interception. Ted McMillan caught 4 for 85. He did lose a fumble. The run game got absolutely nothing. Hubbard and Dowdle combined for 12 carries for 20 yards, and Rico lost a fumble. Despite not being able to run the ball, they put up 5.8 yards per play. The problem is you can't run the ball. If you can't run the ball, you're going to get dominated in time of possession. So they lost a time of possession battle to the Buccaneers 37-25 to 22-35. And you can't let that happen against the Rams or you'll have no chance. The Panthers went 1 of 8 on third down, perfect 2 for 2 in the red zone. The defense let the Bucs go 8 of 15 on third down and held them, but they did hold them to 1 of 3 in the red zone. This 31st ranked pass rush was meek as usual. 2 sacks, 4 quarterback hits. Roseboom did have a pick. Defensive tackle Bobby Brown left the game, and he's being evaluated for concussion. He's in concussion protocol. They are going to have wide receiver David Moore back for this. They also have, so Chandler Zavala is being designated to return from the injured list, and they still have 1 roster spot available. That is believed to be saved for Robert Hunt. Now, no one's confirmed that at this point, but it is believed that Bryce Young will have Robert Hunt, who's a huge piece of this offensive line, available for this one. Take it away for us, Troy Torrence. I have not moved on this game. As I said, I came very close to betting first half and full game unders, but I have yet to do that. The floor is yours, my friend.
So there's a lot to talk about in most of these games. The first thing that really just is the freshest thing on my head is because Sky Dragons in chat talking about it is, players in their first career playoff start, the history between how those players have played is not good at all, right? Guys making their first career playoff start have not performed well. But my question is, because there's really no other parameters involved in that, because like later on today, we're going to be talking about teams like the Patriots and the Bears and teams that are home teams in those situations, and they're favorites or pick 'em, right? I bet you a lot of that profile are road teams that are big underdogs with the quarterback in his first playoff start. I feel like the dichotomy has to be, we need more information. You can't just say that these quarterbacks don't perform well. And I actually think that in recent history, the most recent two examples we have is C.J. Stroud. We have who did well in his first, few playoff games. And then who's the other guy? Oh, come on, the guy I faded all last year. The team we bet the team total under on, the Washington Commanders, Jaden Daniels, who was able to come out in his first playoff game and get the win and cover. And I know Bo Nix is on the other side of that, but I think the trend has been slightly shifting, and I think that it's very important to look at home road dichotomy and the price range. I don't take any trend seriously if I don't have the price range included, and that's why I put so much emphasis on I talk about spread ranges pretty much all the time. In this case, I keep my own market efficiency database separate for the playoffs than I do for the regular season because I do think they're different markets, generally speaking. Double-digit favorites, 3 and 4 ATS, 7-0 straight up in the playoffs, but there's zero examples, like you've already talked about, of a home team catching this big of a number. Home dogs since 2022, I should say, are 6-1 straight up in ATS, winning by 11 points on average. Home dogs winning by 11 points on average. But only one dog in that sample opened at +3 or higher. That one dog opened at +3 was Bucs versus Cowboys, and the Cowboys smoked them by 17. It was not a close game. That was Tom Brady's last hurrah. And this 10 is a big number. I think it makes a ton of sense. In week 13, they opened as 11-point dogs. It closed at 10. Now it looks like it's going to open at 10 and close at 11. And if you remember that game, and then my breakdown on that game, you can go back and go pull that episode up. I was heavy on the over in that game. I bet the first half over. I got a live over early in that game. I also discussed a lot in detail in Discord, trying to talk people off of the Rams money line. And I was trying to make a case for the Panthers ATS Panthers money line, and that came to fruition. But I think that this 10 number, I think it makes a ton of sense. And I think it's clearly showing a ton of strength for the LA Rams. And I did move on the Rams -10. I got a -116. I just bet it. And now I'm looking. We're seeing 10.5s pretty much across the board at least. There's 11 starting to pop. The action's coming in. And if you talked a lot about what happened in that first matchup. Just to kind of reiterate, I think it's kind of important. The Panthers won the noise cancel score in that game. They did have a great performance, an out-of-body experience, but the Rams were also in a very tough spot in that game. And that's why I wanted to fade them. But both teams had 6 drives in scoring range. The Panthers only reached the red zone one time, and they were able to put up 31 points. The Rams reached the red zone 6 times. The Rams put up a 62% success rate. The Panthers only 40%. The Rams averaged 7.4 yards per play. The Panthers only 5.8. The Rams ran the ball for 7.2 yards per carry. The difference in the game was the turnovers, 100%. The fumble, the 2 interceptions, and a defensive touchdown. And I think it's far-fetched to believe that that's going to repeat itself, even though we have seen some turnovers from Stafford. It's just hard to imagine with no pressure that this defensive front is not applying pressure on quarterbacks. They have been a little bit more stout versus the run, but not against quality competition. But you're going to tell me that Matthew Stafford's going to sit in a clean pocket and deliver passes against a cover 3? Come on, that's a dream matchup. Stafford in his first matchup between the Panthers and the Rams was only pressured on 13% of his dropbacks. The Panthers have a 31st rated pass rush. They blitzed him 33% of the time and generated a 13% pressure rate. It's hard to imagine that the Rams don't find success offensively. And on the other side of things, the Panthers offense has been stale, very stale. They're not a consistent down-to-down football team. like I said about the Rams, only one trip into the red zone, 40% success rate. I mean, what about the Tampa Bay Bucks, whose defense has been floundering? They only mustered up 14 points, a backdoor cover, a late garbage time touchdown, 37% success rate, minus 0.06 EPA per play. It's terrible. How about the Seattle Seahawks? They averaged 2.7 yards per play, 40 total passing yards, went 1 for 11 on third down. This offense, you don't want to see an offense performing like this heading into the playoffs. In the first game, like Bryce Young, he had one of his best games, 140 passer rating. I doubt that that's going to be repeatable. I expect to see some more too high from this Rams team. Bryce Young's been visibly better against all zone coverages, especially single high. And the Panthers' run game has reduced to something that's pretty much non-existent. I mean, the Jags, I look at the teams that they've played, that the defenses outside of that one matchup in the Rams where they did have a great game and they caught the Rams in a great spot at home. The other teams' defenses that they played against that are in the top 10. I mean, we're talking about the Jaguars, where Bryce Young had a 49 passer rating, threw 1 touchdown and 2 picks, threw for 4.4 yards per attempt. The Seahawks, 45 passer rating, no touchdowns, 1 pick, 2.3 yards per attempt. The Packers, 48 passer rating, no touchdown, 1 pick, 5.1 yards per attempt. Like I understand, you look at the Rams and what they've recently done, and you don't want to back a team that's looked like that on defense. But it's really not like the down-to-down football is not really the problem. It's those explosive type of plays, those bad quarters, that bad half. Like the Falcons, they were terrible in the first half. Then they come out in the second half, they look like a completely different unit. The Seahawks, fantastic first 3 quarters. Then they fell completely apart in the fourth quarter and overtime. The Lions, they were terrible in the first half, dominated the second half. I think we could see a full game, a full game from this defense. And, I really was looking towards the Panthers in this game. The Rams lose outright as 10-point favorites, reopen as double-digit favorites, line moving back towards that 11 where it originally opened in the first matchup. All this knowing the struggles that both teams have faced. I look at the Panthers, I look at their strength of schedule, who they've played, and it's not impressive at all. I feel like if the Panthers fall behind, they have to play catch-up. I don't feel like there's a backdoor that would happen in this situation. I feel like it's blowout potential. I expect the Panthers to try to hold on to the ball as long as possible, keep Stafford and this explosive offense on the sideline. If they can't do that, they're going to get blown out. And I think that looking at what the Rams did, they're giving up big explosive plays when they're getting scored on. I don't think the Panthers are going to be able to replicate that. I think the Rams will rout this team. And I flip sides from where my initial thought was heading into this game.
I get it. I do like the idea of the unders. I do like the idea of the Rams getting out to a big lead, sitting on the football, milking the clock, trying to get into the next week with a 2-3 score advantage. I think it is appealing in this spot. And it's just like I don't have any history to really look at in the playoffs, and I know I could probably accept. There's nothing. Like if you want to go query SDQL, you're not gonna find a spread that's double digits for a home dog. Like, there's really no data points that we can point to and say, hey, this is a good one. Well, here is one data point that's beautiful. I'll pop it up here on the screen from our guy First Over. First Over says, since the Saints lost the Seahawks 15 years ago in the same situation, and we talked about that on our live stream because that game was very.
Wait, what game?
Oh, it's one of the biggest games of my gambling life, man. The Saints were dominant. They went in and faced the Seahawks in the wild card round. Seahawks had won their division. They were under 500. It was, the 80-yard rush by what's his name? The guy that eats Skittles, Lynch.
Oh yeah.
It was the 80-yard. It was just the
Skittles.
He loves Skittles. That's what I remember.
He does.
So since that game, Saints lost at Seahawks 15 years ago in the same situation. Road favorite, double-digit points, lost to a sub-500 division winner. All postseason double-digit favorites are 12-0 straight up, 9-3 against the spread. 8 of 12 had 48 or more points. But that's First Over, the interesting thing about that is at 10.5. So there must have been some 10s. You're saying there's been 10-point road favorite because there's never been a 10.5-point road favorite in the playoffs in NFL history. Wild.
I like that. I do like that. I'm gonna have to copy and paste that. Appreciate that.
Yeah, it's a great stat. It's a great stat. All right. Well, I'm very interested in this under. Total's not moving at all. I'm not alone though. 59% of the tickets, 79% of cash are on the under.
I meant to say that too, man. So the splits, like we talk about it a little bit. Action Network reflects the public sentiment. The Odds Logic reflects the sharper sentiment with the offshores, and honestly, it just makes me think about how all these books are on a string. It doesn't matter what action specific books are taking, like FanDuel, DK, like they're not moving the line. They're moving the line in correlation with the sharpest books in the world. They're not moving the line because of the action they're taking, and that's pretty clear to me. I love it. Thank God we have that situation. But I do think that this is the Carolina Panthers are going to look appealing to a lot of people.
I agree. That number jumps out at you, and you think about what the Rams have done over the last month, and it's hard not to. Or you use the what happened last time we were here at Bank of America Stadium, Charlotte, North Carolina. I do think that total wise, we should keep a very close eye on the weather and that rain, because there is a big amount of rain that's supposed to fall at some point at night here. This game starts at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, and it's not supposed to have hit at this point. But there's rain in the forecast, so the second half is supposed to have, legit full rain. So that's the situation here. I'm very, very interested in the unders. I have 47 is a key number. I have bet a unit and a half on all these bets in the NFL playoffs, just because we've had more time to sit with them. I'm very comfortable with that. I don't think like stretching it or anything. And I've paid a little bit for better numbers, which you'll see. I've only bet 2 games, but I have 5 bets in those 2 games. All right, let's roll on. Sweaty Butch today, Rams are also going to be healthier coming to this game than past month, no doubt about it. But the 2 offensive line guys, Sweaty Butcher, Havenstein's not coming back for this, but if they make it to Seattle, he's expected to be available and in the lineup. And we talked about, the importance of Dotson, who's a hell of a guard, hell of a line.
So wait, I might have something here for you actually. Yeah, blowout wins, blowout games definitely correlate with the under in playoff football.
Well, it almost cost us the Jags Titans.
Yep.
It's the same sort of deal. Now I don't know if it'll be this much of a blowout. But we have Troy moving on our first NFC wildcard game, Rams, Panthers. Troy on the Rams -10. And I'm very, very interested in unders. Extremely interested in numbers. Extremely interested in unders, I should say. Let's roll on. But just before we do, I what Birdie's talking about, the short week for the Rams with travel, with the Seahawks on deck. Wow. I mean, this is a lot for them, but they're capable of covering this.
But they've been here before.
Mm-hmm.
They've been here before, and they took it on the chin. Then they've taken it on the chin 2 of their last 3 games. Now, I just don't think they're going to overlook a team right now.
No, they're not.
It's definitely okay to speculate on it, but
they're not. It's just there's a bad man in the background staring at them.
Yeah,
their
arms crossed and their stance wide,
staring at them. That's all. All right, let's roll on. Next up for us, this is a game that I moved on here with confidence, and I also want to move on the side, and I've been held back at this point. But let's roll. NFC wildcard playoffs. Green Bay Packers 9-7-1, 4-4-1 on the road at the Chicago Bears 11-6, 6-2 at home. We're at Soldier Field in Chicago, Illinois. 32 Fahrenheit snow showers, 21 mile per hour winds. This wind has gotten stronger over the last 24 hours since I looked at before. Before I had it at 18 mile per hour winds. Now it's at 21. We have full snow showers for this football game. Obviously, you guys know where I'm going, and it's something that's just my highest ROI. And that's important games with weather conditions under under. And that's what I've done here. And I did pay a little more. As I said, I put a unit and a half to try and cover it, but I'm on, and because I was a little late to the party. I was a little late. I moved on this yesterday afternoon. I got the full game under 47. It cost me minus 119. And I got the first half under 23 and a half. And that cost me minus 120. So I did pay for the privilege. And I also want the Chicago Bears. I want to bet them. I thought that I would come in here and have them already bet. But there is some concern watching this line move towards the Packers. There's some concern. And I've yet to move on them. This total is now a 45 and a half. So it's only moved a point. It was a 46 and a half when I paid for the 47. This opened up at 46 and a half. It did move up to 47, which is a little concerning. It did go down to 46 and a half, 45 and a half, came back up and then back down. It's a 45 and a half right now. From a point spread perspective, I think it's probably better for us to talk money line. But from a point spread perspective, this opened up with a straight pick 'em at minus 110. This was on Sunday night at 10:07 p.m. And now the Bears are plus one. They were a plus one at minus 110. Now they're plus one at minus 107. From a money line perspective here, the Bears are plus 100. I do see some plus 101s. There's still some minus 110s. This opened up with the Bears minus 105, and now they're plus 100. And I don't get it. And when I don't get something, I usually stay off of it. And I don't get the love for the Packers. 52% of the tickets, 65% of cash is on the Green Bay Packers. 63% of tickets on the under. 73% of cash is on the under. When we move over to action on this one, they have 55% of the tickets, 54% cash on the over. On the money line, they have 70% of the tickets on the Bears and 55% of the cash. You would think that would push it towards the Bears. I did see the Bears at minus 120 at 365 at one point. That's gone. They're plus 100 there now. We have on the spread 66% of tickets, 54% cash on the Bears. So the Bears are, being bet. Now, according to odds logic, they're not to the same extent as the Packers, but according to other sites, they are. So let's start with the Green Bay Packers. Passing offense ranked second, rushing offense 13th, red zone offense 14th. They score touchdowns 57.6% of the time. Third down offense being the second best in the league at 48.8. Urban Pope says books are begging you to take the Packers. I feel like they're begging me to take the Bears. So I know there's different ways of looking at it, but I think the Bears should clearly be the favorite here at home at Soldier Field, where they're 6-2. Again, and we'll get into the Packers, how they've dropped the ball. Look, I was on the under 10.5 wins when they were 9-3-1. Did I think I was going to cash it? No. Their red zone defense. So they're going to their defense. Sorry, the Packers pass defense ranked 9th, rush defense 23rd. It's a problem. Their red zone defense ranked 21st, third down defense ranked 14th. Their pass rush is ranked 9th. Well, we know that's predicated with Micah Parsons in the lineup. If you look at their pass rush over the last 5 games, it tells you a different story, or 4 games or 3 games, depending on, you got hurt in that Broncos game. Special teams ranked 21st here. My dude says he truly believes Odunze will play. Kyler Gordon is good to go. Yeah, we'll talk about that. I don't know if the foot injury, the live frank. We have a couple very important pieces of football teams dealing with live frank injuries. Lane Johnson, of course, being one of them. They're tricky injuries to come back from, and Troy, would be the expert on that. The Packers coming off their 4th straight loss, not ugly 16-3 setback in Minnesota with third stringer Clayton Tune, the quarterback. Noise cancel scores 26-10 Vikings. Jordan Love will be healthy and available against the Bears, and so is Malik Willis backing him up. He's a little more questionable, but he's going to be there. The Packers were locked in the 7th seed for the 3rd straight year. Nothing to play for. Sat most of their starters. It doesn't help us to break down any of the stats from the Vikings game with the Packers starters sitting. Now, it is important to talk about injuries. Wide receiver Bo Melton, he limped off the field after covering a punt. So that was a problem for them because that forced Jaden Reed into the lineup. They were trying to sit their starters, and then that forced Jaden Reed to play. Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, on the sideline. Of course, we remember what happened to Watson. He tore his ACL in the final regular season game last year, so they both didn't play. We saw Javon Bullard. He was one of the few starters who played for the Packers on defense, and he hurt his knee. LaFleur said he believes he's going to be okay, but that's about it. So Malik Willis, LaFleur said he anticipates him to be in the lineup. If that's the case, then they can move Clayton Tune off of the roster to free up a roster spot, which would let them bring back Nick Neiman. He's been designated to return from the injured reserve, and he's just a heart and soul linebacker. Now, maybe he doesn't play that, but you get him on special teams, and he's just a monster. He's a guy you want on the field, or at least on the sideline. Dontavian Wicks has not completely cleared concussion protocol. He got hurt week 17 versus the Ravens. They expect him to clear it, but he hasn't yet. But they expect him to clear it. Zach Tom, we've heard Troy talk about the importance of Zach Tom. He hasn't played since midway through that Broncos game in week 15. He is expected to play this week, according to LaFleur. Jordan Morgan has been Tom's replacement for the last month. It'd be nice to get Tom in there. But this defense is not the same without defensive end Micah Parsons and defensive tackle Devontae Wyatt. Micah Parsons season-ending injury. Now, maybe they're going to be more capable of handling it after 4 or 5 weeks. But it turned a top 10 defense in the first 12 weeks to a bottom 5 defense in the final 6 weeks. The Packers have not won since Micah Parsons got hurt. Let's talk about the Chicago Bears. Passing offense ranked 15th, rushing offense ranked 3rd, red zone offense ranked 12th, third down offense ranked 7th. Ben Johnson's turned this offense into a juggernaut. Pass defense ranked 21st, rush defense ranked 22nd. The coverage and secondaries had a lot of injuries throughout the year. Kyler Gordon coming back will help, but CJ Gardner-Johnson's now hurt. We'll get into that. Red zone defense ranked 15th, third down defense ranked 22nd. And their pass rush ranked 25th. If you look at the defense and statistical profile, you'd say this is a bottom 10 defense. I think they're better than that and have been dealing with injuries. Special teams ranked 12th. This is the first home playoff game for the Bears since 2018, and our Troy Torrence will be there with incredible seats. They come in off their second straight loss to close out the season, 19-16 at home to the Lions. Noise Canceled scores 28-18 Lions. That helps me. I'm happy with that. I'm happy that they lost to the 49ers and the Lions. But this market is making me stall. How am I supposed to, when the line doesn't make sense, I just sit and can't move. The Lions outgained the Bears 433 to 270. Caleb Williams was 20 of 33 for 212 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. The 212 yards gave him 3,942 this season to surpass Eric Kramer's franchise mark of 3,838 in 1995, which means the Bears are the only team in the NFL history without a 4,000-yard passer. Colston Loveland led receivers with 10 catches for 91 yards and a touchdown. The Bears got nothing out of their rush attack. DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai combined for just 54 yards on 16 carries. The offense was just 5 of 13 on 3rd and 4th down. I expect Ben Johnson to have been keeping his cards close to the chest. I expect him to have a completely different plan of attack than what we've seen. Lions went offensively 6 of 13 on 3rd down. The Lions did 6-13 on 3rd down, but the Bears held them to 1 of 4 in the red zone. Pass rush finished with 3 sacks, 7 quarterback hits. Kevin Byard has league-leading 7th interception. The Bears hadn't made the playoffs since 2020. I mean, we're going back now. It's hard to believe that they win the division, secure the 2nd seed in the NFC in Johnson's first season after finishing last a year ago. Now, they held out left tackle Ozzie Trapilo. He was limited in practice during the week. I've heard that he's expected to play. Linebacker Ty Summers, foot injury, left after he was injured on the opening kickoff. I mean, he's a depth linebacker. CJ Gardner-Johnson's in concussion protocol, and they seem to believe he's not coming back. But Braxton Jones is coming back. That's a huge, huge help on the offensive line. If you have Braxton Jones and you have Trapilo, I mean, you're in business. And as we said, Kyler Gordon has been designated to return. So Jones has been on the injured reserve since week 8 due to a knee issue. Gordon's been sidelined with a groin injury since week 15. And they play hugely important roles. So if CJ Gardner-Johnson does not come back from concussion protocol, with the game starting on Saturday, 6 days, not very long, then, Gordon can come in and replace him. Now we're talking about Will Odunze being back. He's been out for a full month. The offense, though, got stronger and stronger as the season went on, despite the Odunze injury. Chicago finished 6th in EPA per play from week 13 onward. Troy Torrence, you will be live at this football game. I'm on the first half under and the full game under. I want the Bears, but haven't pulled the trigger. Take it away.
It's funny that, I've been known to talk quite a lot of shit about DeAndre Swift, and he's the reason I have an opportunity to go to this game. So it's funny how karma works in that situation, but I'm very blessed to be going to this game. But I'm more happy for my dad, who will be enjoying a free cocktail, watching his favorite team play football, and probably pissed off the entire game, just like he is with every Bears-Packers game. But, I mean, so there's a lot to talk about. C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Odunze. So Odunze is a big piece. There's no doubt about it. But, I mean, it's not like they lack weapons after him. I think Luther Burden actually is the best receiver the Bears have. Colston Loveland has been the most targeted receiver the Bears have. They have DJ Moore. They have a great rushing attack. So I'm not too worried about Odunze being in. Obviously, I want him to be in the game. Also, we have C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who he's like Marlon Bumfrey, in my opinion. I want him to be out of the game, especially if we're getting the likes of Kyler Gordon back. I look at the cash flow. We see the public books, the Action Network. They're suggesting all the money's on the Bears. And then on the opposite side, Odds Logic is suggesting the exact opposite. So this is looking like a sharp square divide. And I'll be gladly walking into it. Just a few short weeks ago, the Bears closed minus 120 at home against Green Bay. They won in the luckiest way imaginable, onside kick. And it's one of the games after week 10 where I really experienced some good variance. And I think this line is very logical based on what we've seen, where we know these two teams are currently at. And we have to think back to where these two teams started in the market. The Bears were a complete long shot to win the division, and the Packers were right there. Now we're looking at a pick in the wild card and home teams that closed between -2.5 and +2.5. I see Birdie in the chat talking. He wants this one to land between the threes. Well, I think you're in luck because there's 11 games that landed, or that the closing line was between -2.5 and +2.5. The home team is 8-3 straight up in ATS in those situations. 6 of the 11 games with that price range landed on a field goal or less. The other games were all blowout wins. So basically, I feel like there's over 50% chance this game does come down to the wire and does finish on a field goal. And if you want to narrow that range, because we're looking more at a +1 to -1 range, +2 to -2, 6-1 straight up in ATS, +1 to -1, 2 and no straight up in ATS. The only time we've seen a line flip was last year, Bills-Ravens game. Bills opened -1, closed +1, and won that game 27-25. It was they were pretty fortunate to win that game because they did rely on 2 key critical fumbles from the Ravens to get that win. Small sample, but I think it's worth considering. In the most recent matchup this season, both teams had 6 drive in scoring range. The Packers were able to get 5 red zone attempts compared to the Bears 2. The Bears posted a 49% success rate. The Packers 53% success rate. And if you look at the noise canceled score in that spot, it should have went way over the total. And that game went under the total. And I feel like this line, the total right now, is telling us the game is probably going to go under. The Bears averaged 6.7 yards per play. The Packers just 5.5 yards per play. And the Bears ran the ball for 5.8 yards per carry. I don't see why they wouldn't be able to do that again, because the Packers defense over the past few weeks towards the end of the season, especially when Micah Parsons went out, you've seen this defense take a complete, just went crashing down. They allowed Bo Nix and the Broncos to put up 34 points in the second half routing. They allowed the Bears to average 6.7 yards per carry. I just talked about 5.8 yards per carry, or 6.7 yards per play, 5.8 yards per carry. They allowed the Ravens and Tyler Huntley to put up 400 yards of offense. King Henry ran for, in a must-win game, 400 yards of offense. Tyler Huntley. King Henry ran for 216. The Ravens went 4 for 6 in the red zone. The more time that passes with Micah Parsons out of the lineup, the more I realized how important he was. I mean, I knew he was very important because just how abruptly he changed the game. He was able to get into the opponent backfield. You look at the pressure rate since he's been out. Go back to the Denver game, 43% pressure rate, only a 23% blitz rate. After Parsons went down, that just is telling me that Parsons was, as soon as he came out of the game, the pressure rate dropped off a cliff. I mean, Bo was extremely comfortable in the pocket after Parsons went out. Caleb Williams, a 47%. He was under a 47% pressure rate against the Packers, but they blitzed 40% of the time. They were forced to send the blitz because, they weren't getting any pressure, and it didn't work because Caleb Williams went 13 for 15 passing, 11.2 yards per attempt, and 133 passer rating against the blitz. And they tried to do the same thing against Tyler Huntley. 54% pressure rate, but it was on the back of a 42% blitz rate. And Tyler Huntley was extremely effective, 138 passer rating. They're going to be trying to blitz because I don't think they're going to be able to generate pressure. And if you look at the defensive front, there's only one guy on the defensive front that even grades out 70. What? You know what? Where is this at? I got it somewhere. I mean, I feel like I can't speak through. I thought I had some notes on the defensive front. They do not have any pass rusher that rank grades out in the top 70. You might have to double check that, but I'm almost positive that that's the truth. They don't have one pass rusher that grades out in the top 70 at their respective positions. It's pretty embarrassing. And it's just not, it's not this, like, Hafley needs to be able to apply pressure with a 4-man rush. Let the second level play underneath coverage, because we know Hafley wants to disguise his coverage, have late rotations, which means you need more guys playing in coverage. When you're blitzing, you cannot do that. I feel like the defensive scheme has completely changed. And when you put on film from week 16, 17, and you compare it to week 6, 7, it's a completely different defensive game plan. And it's pretty clear to me at this point that the pass defense is weak without a strong front four applying pressure. The run defense has always been the weak point for this Packers team. This year, 22nd in run D per PFF, and they're falling sharply each and every week. In 2024, they were 24th in run D. And based on the roster that we see, I don't see why that changes without a blitz. Yeah, and I feel like they've always been vulnerable to that inside zone, inside any type of interior run, any type of dive. They've been any type of gap scheme, really. They've been getting devastated. And I feel like the Bears have the offensive pieces to win on the offensive front and to be able to run the ball effectively. And you look at the other side, and I look at both defenses, and I see them to be they're very vulnerable. So why is this total so low? Especially in these pick'em games, we see these totals fly over when they go over. I'm just surprised that we're not looking at a 47. The defense for the Bears, they definitely have their own set of problems. I've been talking about this all season long. Dennis Allen does not have the defensive roster that meshes with the scheme he wants to play. He wants to play man coverage. Think back to last year, the Bears defense was a top 10 defense. They were playing nothing but zone coverage. Even this year, like if you look at the profile of the Bears, they're way more successful when they're playing zone coverage. Yet we see a ton of man coverage. And what do we see quarterbacks do? When they see the Bears in man coverage, they find C.J. Gardner-Johnson and they attack him because he's so poor in man coverage. I'm hoping he's out of this game because, and I think it makes sense. I feel like he would be moved to the bench with Kyler Gordon coming back into the lineup. And we have seen, I just hope to see Dennis Allen go back. Maybe he's keeping something close to the chest as well, because it just didn't make sense to me. We kept seeing them in man coverage. They're playing the Lions. They're playing man coverage. They're getting toasted, and they continue to run out man coverage. It made no sense. And the Bears, really, the only favorable aspect of their defense over the past few weeks and what we've seen this Bears defense develop into is a bend but don't break style of defense. You see them giving up anything and everything underneath. They allow the teams to move the ball. They're hoping for splash plays while they move the ball. They're sending fire zone blitzes. They're sending crossfire blitzes. They're trying to make a splash play, and they're playing over the top coverage in the secondary, making sure no one's deeper than the deep thirds. So but they've stiffened up in the red zone. And honestly, I think that the Bears' defensive effort is going to come down to the red zone, but I actually think that this entire game comes down to the red zone. The Bears' red zone offense is 12th. The defense is 15th and climbing rapidly. Outside of that 49ers game, the defense has been climbing the red zone chart. But what about at home? What has this Bears defense done at home? We just seen it this past week. They're able to keep the Lions out of the red zone. I don't know how much what that says, because the Lions have been Jekyll and Hyde this season. But if you look at just at home, this red zone defense is second in the NFL, only allowing touchdowns on 36% of attempts. The Packers red zone offense, 14th. The Packers red zone defense, 21st. And those have been downtrending, both offensively and defensively. And just knowing how both these teams have been trending, like Love hasn't played football in a month. Zach Tom hasn't played football in a month. The Bears red zone offense or run defense with Brisker and Byard creeping down into that box behind when Edmonds and Edwards are in the lineup, they've been elite. The Bears' red zone offense hasn't. I mean, they leave a lot to be desired, to be honest. But they're going to rely on a heavy rushing attack. I feel like they can find success. The Packers' pass rush is really just as bad as the Bears team, the Ravens, the 49ers. They only have one player. There it is. They only have one player with a pass rush grade in the top 80. It's Rashawn Gary. And he grades out as the 70th best edge rusher in the NFL with a grade of 60.7. I think Ben Johnson backs up his claims he made prior to the season. He said, we're going to take the North, and we're not going to give it back. He took the North. It's going to be fun beating the Packers twice a year. Another quote from Ben Johnson. And here's his opportunity to get a second win. Also, I want to say, there's some logic into wanting to fade Caleb Williams in his first playoff start, but I do love the fact that this line is a pick. I do think it's priced correctly. I really don't look at this line. I'm like, oh, this shows strength and fit towards the Packers or the Bears in either direction. But, at home, Caleb Williams has been night and day 2 years in a row, significantly better at home. He has a top 3 offensive mind in Ben Johnson. He has a top 5 offensive line and rushing attack for support. And I believe the NFL would like to see the Bears organization and fan base, who are desperate for a playoff win, realize that success. The first overall pick, the most sought-after coach in the NFL. And I feel like the Bears' success would be well received from the broader NFL fan base. Bears money line minus 106 for a unit.
There's a couple things here. First off, let's talk. There's so many comments in the chat that are so great that there's so many I want to talk about. But let's go to Dennis Garcia's comment. He said, "So Green Bay outgained Chicago by 2 yards per play at Green Bay." Now I can put a line through that personally, just because I see this as a different team. Tom was in that game, but more importantly, Micah Parsons was in that game. But I can put a line. But then he says, Love gets hurt in game 2 and Chicago needs an onside kick. Keep it simple. Green Bay has proven twice they are better. So that's from Dennis Garcia. And then AM says, books are so generous. And he's joking, obviously. He says, 9-7 Packers on the 4-game losing streak with Parsons out at the 11-6 Bears, team who has exceeded all expectations. They're giving you plus money to take them at home. Touch on those 2 comments.
Yeah, the first one is between with Jordan Love getting hurt, and part of what he's saying is true, and part of what he's saying is not true, because if you look at those 2 games, everybody watched those 2 games between the Bears and the Packers. Everyone watched the Packers dominate the Bears. Unless you only watched the second half, where the Bears absolutely dominated the Packers in Green Bay. And then you look at Malik Willis. Malik Willis he had 142 passer rating against the Bears in that game. Whereas Jordan Love in that very same game before he went out, he had a 78 passer rating. He had 13 attempts and Malik Willis had 11 attempts. So even on more attempts, he had a worse passer rating. Malik Willis played a perfect football game. He was amazing. He just earned himself a contract and maybe a starting job next season with how he's been playing. So, there's a lot to unpack. There's no doubt about it. But I see this pick 'em. Anything between +1 and -1, I'm not shocked to see that.
Even though the Bears are 6-2 at home and the Packers are a 500 football team on the road without their star pass rusher and their big body to stop the run, I am surprised.
What big bodies to stop the run?
The Packers?
Yeah.
The Packers lost. God, sorry, I should have had Devontae Wyatt.
The Bears didn't finish out. They lost 2 in a row to finish the season. They lost 3 of their last 5. They beat Green Bay in OT. They were lucky to win that. Then they beat the Browns. People look at this and they see, they beat the Eagles. Maybe that'll sell them. I don't know.
So what I'm thinking,
I could see your case. I'm not trying to invalidate it.
Oh, I want the Bears. I wanted the Bears for 48 hours. I just have not pressed the button. I thought I'd be here with the Bears in my pocket. Now, I am in the confidence pool. Now, I know that's just $100 investment, but in that pool, I will be on the Bears. I'm in a different pool, that I've been in for 25 years, with my friends in Vancouver, and there I can take the Bears now. So and then I have the unders, and I honestly feel at this point that that's where it ends. Like I don't at this point I find it very difficult to press the button on the Chicago Bears, but it's Bears or no bet for me, and I think that's probably where it ends. Luke Burrow, the great Luke Burrow, he co-champion of our Heartbreakers Cottages Perfect Week contest and second overall out of 76 cappers in our NFL cappers contest. Luke Burrow says, any thoughts on the concept that the Bears are ahead of schedule and overachieve versus Packers needing to progress more in the playoffs given where they are in their journey? That's part of the story. Like if I was writing an article, that would be part of the story, but here this is just about, do you have an edge to make a bet? And that storyline isn't a part of it for me. Now, it was a part of it slightly for Troy. You think that the NFL would like the Chicago market to move forward in this with the number one draft pick and Ben Johnson as coach. So it does that comment that Luke says, which isn't really relevant to my action. Do you think that's relevant to yours?
I guess more in the playoffs given they were in the
just the storyline.
Yeah, I didn't play it as a major variable, but I do think there is some truth to seeing Caleb Williams, and I feel like he's a good poster child for what the NFL wants to perpetuate in terms of their messaging. He's wearing nail polish. He's very flamboyant. It's kind of aligned with the NFL's and their mission statement and their politically charged, on field phrases that they put and stuff like that. Yeah, I think that the Bears more fall in line with the mob.
But he's also saying the Bears are ahead of schedule and overachieved. And is that playing a role in this market? Is that why you can get plus 100 right now to plus 105 on the Chicago Bears at home against the Packers, who they've beaten twice already?
Plus 100. I don't find that to be egregious line at all. I feel like Pick'em is anything within the range of 10 cents of a pick would be.
Well, I think it's going to keep moving towards the Packers. I don't think it gets more than plus
Zach Tom with Tom coming back, CJ Gardner-Johnson and Dunze probably being out. I think that makes sense. And then I can make a point about Zach Tom too. And I made a comment on this for Will Campbell, who's coming back to the Patriots. Now he's a different situation because he's a rookie. Zach Tom's a seasoned vet. But when you're out for so long, you miss all those repetitions and offensive line. It's so redundant. You're taking a short step or a wide step on almost every snap. That step, your hand placement, all that takes repetition. And it takes football shape to be able to do that on a down-to-down basis. And I know that, Tom is a seasoned vet. Maybe that's different for him. But I do not believe he comes back and he's at 100%. And he's the tackle that, holds up the whole offensive line.
It's a little different in the Will Campbell situation too, because he's Drake May's best friend. True. That changes things. It really does change things. Your best friend is back to protect you, kind of a thing. I do believe that does change things. And then to close on this game here, we have our guy AM Sports Picks. And he says, do we put any weight on quarterback playoff experience? And I think that the market has put a ton of weight on it. That Jordan Love is experienced. He's been there before. He's won huge games on the road. We all watched him go into Dallas and destroy the Cowboys in the wild card round. So I do think that's a big part of the line.
Of the plus 100?
Yes. I think it's a massive part.
For sure.
All right, we have Troy Torrence. He has moved on the Chicago Bears, minus 106. I have paid yesterday at 3 p.m. I paid for numbers that were key to me, as these are unit and a half bets. I paid for the under 47 at minus 119, and I paid for the under 23 and a half at minus 120. And at this point, I don't know if I go in again at this point. That is Saturday action. Let's roll into Sunday action. We start at 1 p.m. Eastern. The AFC wildcard playoffs. Buffalo Bills 12-5, 5-3 on the road. Jacksonville Jaguars 13-4, 7-2 at home. Everbank Stadium in Jacksonville, Florida. 66 Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy, 10-mile-per-hour winds. So I thought that I would come into this show with the Bills in my pocket. I do have a bet for them to win the Super Bowl. I could get a slightly better line if I bet them right now. And I'll tell you why I haven't. I also was going to be on the over. But of course, Maxwell Hairston is out, their first round draft pick. And it doesn't matter how McDermott explains it. I'm still very angry with the fact that he was on the field. I'm sure he could have figured out something. Now, the problem with them is they've had injuries at cornerback, so they only had 3 cornerbacks on their roster, and then he had to be in there. If they lose this game, McDermott and Harbaugh can go have coffee together because he's going to get fired too. That was egregious to have him on the field up 30 points. Your first-round draft pick who's already dealt with an injury that cost him the first 6 weeks of the year, the LCL. So with Hairston being announced out, the total climbs. The reason why I wasn't already on the over was because to me, it was a pretty clear, sharp move on the under. And then with the Hairston injury, the line climbs a point, and I think it will come back down. Now, the problem is, as much as I thought that was a sharp move on the under, when I look at because I told you guys, I got to read other articles for the first time this entire season. I've never done it. And they're all on the over. So that all of this is throwing me for a loop, and I'm extremely angry that Hairston's not in the lineup. First off, we'll get to this money line. The Buffalo Bills opened up minus 123. They moved to minus 113. They started moving again, minus 120. Now they're back at minus 113. This last move was, I think, injury related, as was the total. This total is a 52.5. There are still some 52s out there. It opened up at 52 and it dropped down to 51.5. I was surprised by that move, and I respected it. Then it moved to 52 and 52.5 with the Maxwell Hairston information. That's the side. Let's take a look at the cash flow. We'll look at 2 different books here. We have Wager Detective on a Jaguars max bet. I want the Bills badly. I have some issues here. We have 83% of the tickets and 95% of the cash on Jacksonville. According to Odds Logic, they are extremely public. Now, let's take a look at the Action Network to see if they tell a different story. Now, on the spread, they do tell a different story. 63% of the tickets, 56% of the cash on the Jaguars. On the money line, we see Bills action, 56% of the tickets and 61% of cash. Again, you got to choose what you believe in. From a total perspective, we here at Action have 60% of tickets, 53% cash on the over. I don't really believe the site that much. And if we trust Odds Logic, they're saying that the over is extremely public. 77% of the tickets and 90% of the cash. Now you could say, look, the public's not betting yet. And that would be completely legitimate. Dennis Garcia says, if Allen is as elite as people say, he has to win this game. He just has to. I agree. Dennis says his biggest issue in the game is Buffalo can't stop the run at all. So let's set up the statistical profile of the 2 squads. It is nice weather in Jacksonville. Perfect football, 66 Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy, 10-mile-per-hour winds. Passing offense for the Buffalo Bills ranked 7th, and this is now the number 1 ranked rushing offense. With the number 1 ranked, or the Cook leads the league in yards, rush yards. This is a 3rd ranked red zone offense, dynamite in the red zone, 66.2%. 3rd down offense, 4th. They convert 44.8% of the time. Now, it's the defense is the problem. Pass defense ranked 16th. Rush defense ranked 27th. And that's what Dennis Garcia is talking about. This red zone defense ranked 19th. They allow touchdowns 59.6% of the time. This 3rd down defense is ranked 24th. They allow conversions 41.4% of the time. Pass rush ranked 7th. Special teams ranked 9th. The Bills come in off a 35-8 victory at home versus the Jets in what is expected to be the final game at Highmark Stadium. Noise cancel score is 40-8 Bills, and it proved costly, as I talked about with Maxwell Hairston going down. He suffered a 4th quarter right leg injury while making a tackle, and I just can't understand why he was out there. Now, McDermott's being forced to explain himself. He said he only had 3 cornerbacks on the roster, and unfortunately had to be out there. But I'm sure up 30 points in the 4th quarter in a meaningless game, he could have figured something out. So presumably they elevate Dane Jackson from the practice squad. Now he's a vet, but there's a reason why he's on the practice squad. Hairston is unavailable. The Bills outgained the Jets 470 to 122. Who cares about these stats? The Bills ran 43 times for 211 yards. We know that their rush attack is very dangerous. And Mitch Trubisky looked excellent, but who cares? He won't be starting quarterback. Now, Dalton Kincaid did come back from injury, 3 catches of 48 yards. The offense put up 6.5 yards per play, went 5 of 6 in the red zone. And the defense dominated the hapless Jets offense. but these stats aren't relevant here. The Bills once again have a kicker problem, and it comes at the worst time. They started the season with a kicking issue after Tyler Bass went on injured reserve. He's done for the season. He's having surgery. Then Prater stepped in for Bass and did a great job, but he missed 2 games due to injury recently, which forced the Bills to turn to Michael Badgley. That didn't go well. Badgley was given his walking papers. Then once again, Prater re-injures his right quad in the second game back, Week 18 win over the Jets. So what the hell are they going to do? So we're still kind of waiting to figure out what the hell they're going to do. They're still saying, oh, Prater has a chance to play and all this stuff. It's a very bad situation. Now, they had players not playing. Safety Jordan Poyer, defensive tackle DeQuan Jones, linebacker Terrell Bernard, defensive end Joey Bosa. They're all expected to go. The elephant in the room is Josh Allen on the road in the playoffs, 0-4. Now, 3 of those losses did come to the Chiefs. But he's never won on the road in the playoffs. Let's talk about these Jaguars, these upstart Jaguars. Passing offense ranked 6th, rushing offense 27th, red zone offense 10th. They score touchdown 61.8% of the time, third down offense 19th. They convert 39.2% of the time. It's a good offense, but this defense out of nowhere to me. Passing defense now 4th, rush defense 12th. Now the red zone defense 19th, third down defense 20th, pass rush 22nd. Look, I mean, but special teams ranked 19th, but this defense seemingly for me came out of nowhere to be really strong. They come in off their 8th straight win, a dominant 41-7 victory at home over the Titans. This team, over their 8-game winning streak, has averaged 33.6 points per game. Noise cancel score was 33-8 Jaguars. Jaguars clinched their division title, their 3rd in 9 years. Look, they rolled. This is more than 12 wins for the second time in the team's 31-year history. Liam Cohen's done a hell of a job. All of them, this whole group, the offense coordinator, all the new pieces in place, the new general manager, all this youth movement did a great job. Trevor Lawrence was 22-30 for 255, 3 touchdowns, no interception. He has made this the top offense in EPA per play since week 12. That's what we're dealing with. Parker Washington led receivers with 5 catches for 87 yards and a touchdown. Running game didn't do much, didn't have to. Jags went 4-9 on third down, perfect 3 for 3 in the red zone. Titans lost first overall pick Cam Ward to an injury. Who cares? We don't need to go over these statistics. They're not important. But Antonio Johnson returned an interception, 58 yards to the house. 22nd interception of the season for the Jaguars. It's a ball hawking defense. They broke the previous team record set in 2017. Cole Van Lanen, who signed a 3-year contract extension this week, hurt his right knee in the 4th quarter. This is their left tackle that they believe in very much. He still says questionable. But they're a healthy group because Patrick McCarry, and now he's a guard, obviously, but he was inactive. They're hoping he's going to be good to go this week. So we have the number 1 offense, according to EPA per play since week 12, and they can stop the run. And that is where the Bills will hurt you. This is the number 4th ranked run defense in DVOA, number 3 in opponent success rate per handoff. If Maxwell Hairston was out, and I know everything changed when he came back. We talked about it often. The fact that he's not in the lineup makes me want to drive down to Buffalo now, wait outside McDermott's house with a ski mask and Nancy Kerrigan him right in the kneecap and run off. I cannot fathom that Hairston was on the field with 5 minutes left, up 35 points. Troy Torrence, take it away for us here. A big one. Sunday, 1 p.m. action. We have Jaguars Bills.
Well, the first thing I think about listening to the handicap and really focusing on the since week 12. I mean, if you look at who the Jaguars have played since week 12, there's no doubt in my mind. I don't think anybody has had an easier schedule than the Jacksonville Jaguars. They got to play the Colts twice. I'll get to it. I don't want to jump straight to that, but I was right here with you. I didn't think I'd be betting this game. I thought I'd be leaving this off my card, but I have to stick to my guns in this spot. The splits, the cash flow, I think we have a sharp square divide again. Look at Action Network, the public books, 37% of bets, 46% of cash on the Bills. Look at the sharper offshores, 81% of bets, 95%. This was earlier today. Could change a little bit, but everybody's on the Jags. Short home dogs of less than 3 in the playoffs. I already talked about this with the Bears. This between +3 and -3 in this price range, home teams have eaten. And when they've won, if it's not by 1, 2, or 3, it's by margin. So my immediate reaction was to fade the Jags in this spot. I'm not going to lie. I was like, maybe I should stay off it. Maybe the Jags should be my Jets, and I don't bet the Jets. But I just couldn't help myself in this spot, and we'll get to it. I faced a lot of bad variance. I started the show by talking about just how bad my variance has been lately, but not with this team. This is a team I've gotten completely wrong. Trevor Lawrence posted a passer rating above 100 in 5 of his last 6 games. The defense climbed the chart, snuck into the top 10 in terms of overall defensive grade per PFF. The issue is the end of the season schedule, and this is what I was just trying to talk about, was extremely light. They had the Cardinals, the Titans, the Indianapolis Colts, the Indiana Jones Colts, or Indiana Jones list Colts. They had the New York Jets, and they had the Tennessee Titans. I mean, that's the easiest possible schedule you could draw. I know you can only play who's on your schedule, and they wallop these teams that they played. They even wallop the only good data point that they have in recent history. It's the Broncos. But you know my feeling about the Broncos. You know, Mel's in the chat probably. You know my feeling about the Broncos, about Bo Nix. I think they're also overrated, especially that defense. And Trevor Lawrence, I mean, his splits versus quality and poor defenses is pretty glaring, especially if you isolate the first 10 weeks and then you isolate weeks 11 through 18. Dude, the first 10 weeks, Trevor Lawrence was an absolute bum. I talked about it until I was blue in the face. I couldn't believe they were winning games despite him being so bad. He was bottom 5 in passer rating, bottom 5 in yards per attempt, bottom 5 in touchdown interception ratio. And this was against a much tougher strength of schedule, right? He had the Texans twice, the Rams, the Seattle Seahawks. He had Kansas City. And then he gets the easiest little layup cupcake defenses in weeks 11 through 18 outside of the Broncos, who he still put up a number on. I'm not trying to overlook that because that's a very impressive data point. And after that week, I came up and threw up the white flag. Knew I was wrong in that spot. But, it was complete, bottom 5 in weeks 1 through 10 to top 5 in every single metric. And now, from a strong strength of schedule to a very weak strength of schedule, the question becomes, what was the difference? Was it Trevor Lawrence adapting to the Cohen scheme? Was it simply due to the strength of schedule? And the only game that we could really point to that doesn't fit the mold is when he balled out against Denver. So maybe that's what you lean on in this spot, and that's completely reasonable. And another question is, the Bills I feel like they're a middling defense. If anything, they're closer to the bottom half, the easier of portions of their strength of schedule, but they do have some redeeming qualities. They can still rush the passer. Similar to Houston, the Rams, and Seattle. I mean, this is a top 10 pass rush. It's not quite as good as those teams, don't get me wrong, but they have been able to effectively apply pressure on the quarterback. They have a disciplined secondary. The pass defense is pretty good. The run defense is trash. And I've talked about how bad this Bills run defense has been for 2 years now. I feel like I was way ahead of the curve in terms of calling out the run defense and watching the defensive front get blown back into their linebackers' face, not allowing them to scrape and completely just disrupting the whole defensive process. But my question is, are we sure the Jaguars are going to be able to run the football? I mean, they only averaged 3.7 yards per carry in their last 10 games this season. They only eclipsed 4 yards per carry in 2 games within that span. And it was against the Chargers and the Cardinals. Chargers is a pretty impressive data point. If you take Trevor Lawrence scrambles out of the equation, they're not running the ball effectively at all. The Bills defense, trust me, it's hard to make a case for this defense, but they have gotten better late in the season in some of these metrics, especially the run D metrics. First of all, most importantly, is we know Trevor Lawrence, they have some run design plays, especially in the red zone. But the Bills are the best defensive team in terms of limiting opposing quarterback rushing yards. They held the Eagles to 3.5 yards per carry, which is about an average performance for the Eagles. They allowed 2 explosive runs to Trayvon Henderson, which I don't think Jacksonville has a running back the likes of Trayvon Henderson. And if you take those 2 explosive runs out of the game, which you've taken 2 of the most explosive plays out of the game, I don't know if that's reasonable or not. I think it is, because I think those are more outliers and just basically broken defense, broken coverage. But you take those out, they only ran the ball for 2 yards per carry. And this Bills defense is largely based on momentum. You'll see them look like trash getting marched up and down the field. And then as soon as they get that stop, you see stretches of 3-and-outs or stretches of forced punts. We've seen it multiple times this season against the Eagles, the Patriots, the Steelers, the Texans, the Chiefs. In all of those games, the Bills defense was able to step up and generate stops. Now they're without Hairston, and that's a difficult pill to swallow. it's a difficult pill to swallow because he's been one of the most electric players on this defense. He reminds me of Imawara. He reminds me of Kyle Hamilton in some regards, just how impactful he is to the defense and how the defensive numbers have dropped off with him out of the lineup. It's just really hard. I feel like this is a really tough game to really expect something from either aspect. I feel like it could go either way. I just find it hard to believe that the Jags have the ability to turn around and hand it off 30 times and have a high success rate. Their O-line registers averages in the run block category. The vertical threats are there for the Jags, so there should be open space for some successful runs. I just don't think they're just going to be able to march the ball up and down by turning around and handing it off to the running backs. I don't think that's in the cards. The Bills' offense, I mean, I look at what they were able to do. The Jaguars, I look at the Bills' offense versus the Jaguars' defense, and again, I have a ton of questions. I'm not sure what to make of this matchup because you can easily make a case for either side of this. What has the Jaguars done versus other top 10 offenses? You know, the 49ers put up 21 points, 400 yards, 6.2 yards per play. They had 2 fumbles and 2 interceptions, so they're generating turnovers, and I feel like that's going to be huge here. Are they going to be able to generate turnovers against Josh Allen? I mean, he's been much better in the turnover category over the past few years. Is that going to continue? The Chiefs put up 28 points, 475 yards. We had a great day on third down, 7.6 yards per attempt. The Chiefs ran the ball for 7.2 yards per play, and they ran it like 20 times. And that was actually one of my biggest questions, the Jags defense, because they have been profiling great against the run, but I look at the resume and I don't see teams that are really running the football effectively. You look at the Indianapolis Colts, and without Indiana Jones at quarterback, that run offense was completely different. I talked about the Kansas City Chiefs. I know the San Francisco 49ers ran the ball pretty well, and I know the what did the Rams do? What did the Rams do in their ground game? And mind you, you think about the Rams game. The Rams were up 21-0 in this game. They took the foot they took the pedal off the metal, and they were just cruising to a victory because they were not threatened at all by this offense. They ran the ball 29 times for 90 yards, 3.1 yards per carry. Not an impressive performance, but I bet you if you split the first half and the second half, you'd be seeing a lot different there. So, it's just really hard, I guess, when you look at the matchup, what to expect. And it's one of the more difficult games to handicap in this entire slate. Really tough matchup to read. But I look at the recent strength of schedule, and I see the Jaguars, who they've played, and what this number is predicated on. We're looking at a pick'em that's predicated on a bunch of matchups against a bunch of bum-ass football teams that are not the caliber of Josh Allen, not the caliber of the Buffalo Bills. And here's the thing that put me over the top, really. It's when you look at the game flow perspective and you think about the Jacksonville Jaguars. If you want to beat the Bills, you want to control the possession of the football. You want to keep Josh Allen on the sideline. I don't think the Jaguars are capable of doing that. It goes back to what I was saying. I don't think they're going to be able to turn around and hand it off 30 times and average over 4 yards per carry. The Jaguars are not a team that's going to dink and dunk down. They're not a dink and dunk type of offense. They're a team that's predicated on explosive football plays. And that's why we've seen their totals fly over at such a high rate towards the end of the season. It's because their offense has been explosive. It's not been great down to down. Certainly not the case. So the Bills can deploy a bend but don't break defense. If the Bills could maintain possession of the football, which I do think that the Bills will be able to do against most defenses in the league, especially in this type of weather, they could line up in 12 personnel, pound the rock, control the clock, play from ahead, and finish strong. I'm on the Bills' money line. I had to pull the trigger.
You know, I forget what I was. I was sitting there, and then all of a sudden it said Maxwell Hairston is in a walking boot, and everything stopped. I was like, I had this whole plan. I knew exactly what I was going to do. I was going to add the conference. I was going to add the AFC. I was going to move on this game. And when I realized, because I'd stopped watching who was watching the Bills Jets game at that point? I mean, I'd stopped watching it. I only had the Bills first half. And so I was so angry. And there's nothing I can do about it at this point. I want the over, but every single person in the chat's on the over. Not one person is on the under. And I thought that was a pretty sharp move from 52 to 51.5 before they announced Hairston was hurt. I thought that
The over was if you go back to crossing out the first look you have, whatever you first think when you're looking at a game and cross that out, for me, it was the over.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I completely get it. And to not see one person in our chat on the under.
And I think the reason I don't know. It's tough on the total. But the only case to make for the under is that both teams' game plan is going to be to possess the football as long as possible.
Yeah. I'm a mess at this point now. This defense is just not good enough to lose a first-round pick like Hairston. We saw it all change when he came back from injury after the LCL, took him out in the preseason. He came back, week 6 or week 7, and they just changed. So I'm very upset. I still want the Bills. What did you get the Bills at?
-113. I don't even know where that number is now.
I mean, it's
I stopped worrying about CLV after I realized how unimportant CLV really is. If you look at there's a strong negative correlation between CLV and my profitability over the past 2 years. I'm going to make a very detailed post here in the next few days outlining just that.
Wow. I mean, my dude's saying that Lawrence is terrible. I mean, I don't know how he can be leading the number 1 offense in the NFL since week 12. I think it's a little harsh, but
yeah, that's way harsh. It's way harsh. He's been the best quarterback in the league since week 11.
Everybody can have their own ideas here, but I don't.
But I mean, like you say, like I was saying, I mean, I don't know. It depends on how much weight you put on the Broncos game. So,
yeah, I'm upset. I'm angry. I'm angry at McDermott. I've been angry at McDermott more and more as he's gone on and coached here, and this one really upset me. And his excuse for why it happened, you could tell he was just trying to save his job. I mean, God, this is just set up for Josh Allen to go on this run, and I don't know if it can even get started at this point. I certainly only want the Bills. I don't know if I can get there at this point. I'm certainly not betting it tonight, and I wanted the over. Like every single person in the chat as well. There's no doubt, Dutch says he's no Josh Allen. There's no doubt, Josh Allen with his experience, everything. Now he's got to win a road game in the playoffs too. But I don't know.
I mean, all but one of his losses have come against all but one of his playoff losses have come against the Chiefs.
The road playoff losses, all but one. All 8 losses as 7 against the Chiefs. I don't think that. I'd have to double check that, but 3 of the 4 road losses. Look, I'm just gonna have to move on at this point. But it upsets me that I'm not sitting here on the Bills and I haven't added to my position on them. And Hairston's in a walking boot. The whole thing just really bothers me. Troy's on the Bills at -113. Let's roll on. 4:30 p.m. Eastern, NFC wildcard playoff. San Francisco 49ers 12-5, 7-2 on the road. The Philadelphia Eagles 11-6, 5-3 at home. Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It is a tricky situation with the wind and because we know that things can change. Obviously, we're 5 days away, but at this point, the wind is going to affect Philly earlier in the day, and it tapers off. So at this point, you'll still look and see 43 Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy, 19 mile per hour winds. It's supposed to finish around 13 mile per hour winds. It's something that should be looked upon often. If you are on the under, Troy Torrence is on the under, and I joined him, but I joined him late. And it cost me. First off, I got a worse line, but I also had to pay for it. I got the first half under 23. I was very pleased with that. I got that at -116. Then I got the full game under 45. This line is moved, unabashed towards the Eagles, and I moved on the Eagles double result at +110. The deeper I broke this game down, I just didn't see how the 49ers can beat the Eagles. I just don't see it. I don't see the route. I couldn't create a script for it. Now the 4.5, it's certainly a buy low spot on the 49ers now, but can they keep it? I thought that +110 on the double result was nice. It also gives you a script for your own live betting. So for me, when I have the plus 110 double result, if I don't cash that first half, I live bet the Eagles. So it's a pretty simple story here. But I'm a 49ers fan. My family's in San Francisco, and I don't see how they could do it. Let's go through the line history here. We have a total now 44.5. It was at 44.5 when I moved on it. It opened up at 46. It moved to 45.5, dropped to 45, and moved to 44.5 this afternoon. It cost me minus 116 at Bet365 to get to 45. I believe it's still there. It was only 3 or 4 hours ago. We have this line moving towards the Eagles and moving fast. It opened up at minus 3.5. It moved in their direction 5 cents after 2 hours. It moved to 12 hours after that. It moved to a 4.5, 2 hours after that. This is just being one-way traffic towards the Philadelphia Eagles at this point. Take a look at the cash flow. Odds Logic has 57% of the tickets and 80% of the cash on the Eagles. Clearly sharp action moving the line. 66% of the tickets, 78% cash on the under. Again, you say the same thing. Clearly, sharp action moving the line. When we take a look at action, which tells a bit of a different story, it's 60% of the tickets and 54% cash on the over. And then on the spread, it has 76% of the tickets and cash on the San Francisco 49ers. I find that so difficult to believe, but, we're supposed to take it. Shout out to Tommy Guns in the house. So let's roll here. Passing offense for the 49ers, ranked 4th. Rushing offense, 28th. We saw that against Seattle. Red zone offense ranked 5th. They scored touchdowns 65.2% of the time. And for most of the year, this has been a phenomenal third down offense. Ranked 1st, 49.8% conversion rate. It's their defense that's a problem. And look, no Bosa, no Warner. What can you do? And now with Bethune hurt, what can they possibly do? And we'll go over that. Their passing defense ranked 24th. This is the 3rd worst rush defense in the league. Pass rush ranked 27th. Third down defense ranked 19th. The red zone defense ranked 12th. Again, Salah is a great defensive mind. This is the 2nd ranked special teams unit. They're coming off a 16-3 loss at home to the Seahawks that cost them the number 1 seed in the NFC and the opportunity to host every game they play in, including the Super Bowl that will be played in Santa Clara this year. It was a very costly loss. Now, instead of getting a bye, they opened up the playoffs in hostile territory in Philadelphia. We watched the season come to an end not long ago in Philadelphia. The noise cancel score was 23-6 Seahawks. 49ers had their lowest scoring game since losing 23-3 to Carolina in Kyle Shanahan's debut in 2017. The Niners were badly outplayed. They were outgained 361 to 173. The 173 yards gained by the 49ers was their fewest in any regular season game under Shanahan. Brock Purdy was 19-27 for 127 yards, no touchdowns in the pick. Juwan Jennings led receivers with 4 catches for 35 yards. McCaffrey, CMC Music Factory did not look good. He ran 8 times for 23 yards, caught 6 for 34, and also was at fault for a costly red zone interception that should have been caught and bounced off his hands. Now, McCaffrey is a leader, and he says the right things. And he said the right things after the game. He said, it's a play I have to make, absolutely have to make. I expect nothing less but to make that play, and it's completely on me. What else can you say? Niners were 2 of 11 on 3rd and 4th down, 0 for 1 in the red zone. This battered, beleaguered defense tried to keep the minute. No Bosa, no Warner. It's been that way, obviously, for a long time. Warner got hurt in week 7. Much as I was hoping that Ed Oliver was going to come back for the Bills, and he may still. He's not coming back this week, Ed Oliver, but he may still come back if they can move on. But, Fred Warner will be able to play in the conference final, supposedly. It was the ankle. He broke the ankle. He will be able to play in the NFC final. But they allowed 5.4 yards per play, which isn't bad. The Seahawks offense is not a juggernaut, but Seahawks went 6 of 13 on 3rd down, but the Niners held them to 0-3 in the red zone. Pass rush finished with 2 sacks, 3 quarterback hits. That's good for this weak-ass 49er pass rush. But what happens? Linebacker D. Winters goes out with an ankle injury, and linebacker Tatum Bethune tears his groin and is done for the year. So you're already out Fred Warner, and then you lose these 2 guys against a Philadelphia offense that's just going to come right at the teeth of the defense. They're just going to run right at the linebackers over and over and over again. So D. Winters.
Bethune was their best run defender by far as well.
He's done for the year. D. Winters, ankle injury. Luke Gifford with a quad injury. Defensive lineman Keon White with a hamstring injury. Safety Jair Brown with a rib injury are all being monitored. At this point, Brown is listed as day-to-day. Defensive lineman Kalia Davis has knee tendonitis. He's listed as day-to-day. So with Bethune and Bethune gone and Winters uncertain, it's Eric Kendricks that's going to be playing the role here.
It's not bad. He's a veteran. I mean, he's good for solid. You know, I feel like he's a good guy for solid.
They're lucky they have him. I mean, there's a reason why he's not been starring on this defense that's already battered. So Garrett Wallow and Curtis Robinson are both options at the weak side linebacker spot. Again, no Warner going to come and save the day. Trent Williams with the hamstring injury, we don't even know if he's going to play. We saw when Trent Williams is not on the offensive line, the difference is massive. Hamstring injury. He's Ricky Pearsall with the knee injury. We don't know if they're going to be evaluated through the week. It's a PCL for Pearsall. But the 49ers are more than the sum of their parts, always. That's what Shanny does. They're 7-2 against the spread on the road this year. This defense has allowed the second highest rushing success rate in the NFL. 31st in PFF run defense grade and 24th in run defense DVOA. And what do the Eagles do against you? They run. Let's talk about the Eagles. Passing offense ranked 11th, rushing offense 14th. This is number one red zone offense in the NFL, being so all year, 70.5% touchdown rate. Third down offense ranked 24th. They don't convert very easily, 37.1% of the time. Pass defense 14th, rush defense 10th. This is a 9th ranked red zone defense. They allow touchdowns 53.1% of the time. 21st ranked third down defense. 6th ranked pass rush. Special teams are okay at 17th. They're coming off a 24-17 loss at home in a game that saw them rest several key starters. No Jalen Hurts, no Saquon Barkley, no A.J. Brown, no Dallas Goedert on offense. On defense, no Jalen Carter, no Jalen Phillips, no Nakobe Dean. And the loss cost them the number 2 seed. I mean, they needed help. They needed the Lions to beat the Bears. That happened. Noise canceled score was 21-20 for the Commanders. Tanner McKee started. He went 21-40 for 241 yards, touchdown, interception. Bigsby ran 60 times for 75 yards. The stats aren't important. One thing is Smith came into the game. He needed 44 yards to get to 1,000. He got 3 catches, 52 yards, and then left. He was gone before the end of the first quarter, immediately pulled from the game. A.J. Brown didn't need to play. He was already 1,003 yards. Analyzing the stats are no help here, so we don't need to touch on it. But Grant Calcaterra left with an ankle and a knee injury. Offensive lineman Brandon Toth was evaluated with a concussion. And it's all about Lane Johnson. Now, not here in this game. I think you can easily win this game without Lane Johnson. But we know that the fate of the Philadelphia Eagles always seems to rest on Lane Johnson. All-pro right offensive tackle. He's missed the last 7 games with the live Frank injury. He's expected to practice on Wednesday for the first time. He suffered the injury on November 16th. He's made progress, but he still hasn't really tested his right foot. The Eagles went 3-4 in the 7 games he sat out. They're 18-28 in games he hasn't played during his 13-year career. He's missed 1 playoff game out of 15 in his career, and that was a loss, wild card loss to the Seahawks in 2020. Troy Torrence, I'm on unders. I should have got there earlier when you were on it. I just have this issue with the 49ers. I sat for too long, did make moves. You have a better line than me. I'm right with you. I agree with your take. Wish I got there earlier. Take it away for us, 49ers Eagles.
So this is one cash flow situation where action and odds logic are much closer in relatively speaking. The spread is moving, and I think we know why. I think it's because we're Ricky Pearsall and Trent Williams, and I might have missed that part as I was trying to finish up something on the last game. Trent Williams, Ricky Pearsall, Jim, what's your expectation?
I don't think they play. Ricky Pearsall might play. We don't know how bad this. We've been in this situation with Trent Williams, and he's not. He doesn't. You can't rush the hamstring injury. We'll get a better idea tomorrow. I'm going into this thinking that Trent Williams will not play. It wasn't like he was questionable and almost going to play. There was no chance he could play last week. I don't really see why that would change too much.
So then you look at home teams since 2022 season between -3.5 and -5.5 in the playoffs, 3-1 ATS, 4-0 to the under. If you look at the road teams' offensive performances in those games, I mean, they've been dreadful. So obviously you got a 4-0 to the under. The road team has never eclipsed 17 points in that 4-game sample, very small sample. But I do think that looking at the box scores and the play-by-play situation is very they're all very close, like closely clustered together in terms of yards per play, red zone performance, third down. You see the very same, pretty much the same thing every time, up and down. And I came out here in week 18 making the case that I'm about to make again, right? The 49ers offense was overvalued in the market. Purdy, he loves zone coverage, but his numbers fall off sharply against 2 high safety shells. I'm going to give you a very similar handicap to what I did as it relates to the 49ers offense versus this Philly defense, because again, he's going to see another 2 high shell defense. I talked about the 2 high shells that he's seen prior to what he just seen this past week with Seattle. It was Jacksonville and Seattle in weeks number 1 and 4. And versus those defenses, his passer rating, his PFF grade, his touchdown interception ratio was 1-to-1. Completion percentage, 66%. His offensive points per game. I mean, every single thing. You could take whatever his average is and drop 30% off that. And that's how good he's been versus 2 high shells. And this dates back to last season as well. And if you look at the Bears' resume, the Bears, he destroyed the Bears defense, who allowed Malik Willis to have a perfect passer rating. The Colts without 2 Pro Bowl cornerbacks. The Titans, who basically allow every team to drop 30 points on them. The Browns, who held Purdy to a 30-foot Purdy in the San Francisco 49ers to a 34% success rate. And then the 2 high shells is really where he's struggled. I mean, so they've had these massive outlier type of offensive performances, and they put like 3 back to back to back. And maybe it's more true than we've seen against Seattle, but how can we say that the offense is going to be more productive on the road in Philadelphia? It's really hard to make that case. And then we have the week 18 data point, 33% success rate. I don't think I've ever seen an EPA per play quite this bad. Minus 0.41, probably the worst I've seen all season. Stuck out like a sore thumb. And they only got into the red zone one time. Purdy threw that tipped pick. Pretty unfortunate, but I just struggled to see that Purdy in this 49ers offense without Pearsall, without, against one of the best defenses in the NFL that plays too high at ridiculous rates, with Vic Fangio calling the defense, a pass rush that could draw pressure with just 4, one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL. The 49ers are going to have to really rely on the rushing attack, and that's actually, if you could say that the Eagles have been vulnerable anywhere, it's against the run. And the teams are trying to pound the rock because the pass defense is so damn good. There's only so much Shanahan can do. I mean, they don't have weapons out wide at receiver that really stretch the field vertically. They're going to be down their left tackle. Pearsall's not in. If he is in, he's not going to be close to 100%. And I think the line movement is really reflecting what's going on with Pearsall and Trent Williams. And on the opposite side, it's really hard to make a case for either offense, hence why I'm on the unders in this game. The offense for the Eagles, I mean, I talked about this all season long. Their offensive coordinator might be the worst in the NFL. I mean, we don't see any motion. We don't see any play action. We have seen a little bit more of that later in the season, which has been good. And what has this Eagles offense done versus bad defense? That's really what I want to find out, because this 49ers defense is not good. Now you take Bethune out, their best run-stopping defender. You take out D. Winters. And I feel like it's just painting an even worse picture. So what has the Eagles offense done versus the bad defenses they've seen? Commanders, they scored 29 points, ran the ball for 6 yards per carry. Hurts had 115 passer rating. The Raiders, they scored 31, ran the ball for 4 yards per carry. Hurts had 154 passer rating. Dallas Cowboys scored 21 points. All their points came in the first half. They only ran the ball for 3.5 yards per carry. Hurts, again, over 100 passer rating. And that was a game where it seemed like they let the foot off the gas, and it really came back to bite them. And the Giants, they scored 38 points, ran the ball for 8.4 yards per carry. Hurts, 142 passer rating. I know that I don't trust the offensive coordinator, but I trust that this offense will do enough to cover the spread and to keep San Francisco 49ers under their team total. The 49ers have only played one like-kind game in this type of environment, and there's just no data points we could look at that have this exact weather. But the closest you could say is when they went to Cleveland. I know the wind isn't going to be a factor, but this will be the second coldest game they played this season. And I just think that they're going to run through a brick wall, man. There's only Also, CMC, Christian McCaffrey. How many times could this guy touch the ball? Did he not look worn out last game? And this guy's catching, 75 passes? He's getting fed the rock like 20-plus times a game. How much of a beating can a guy take? And I feel like they're going to struggle. I have 3 bets in this game. Eagles -4, -120. 49ers team total under 20.5. That's -128. That's juice. We're not going to see 21s pop up. And then I got under 45 at -110.
Under 45. I thought you got a 46. I did have to pay for my 45. But only 6 cents. It makes me feel a little better because you got in quite early, didn't you?
Very early this morning.
Oh, okay. That makes me feel a little better. Niners team total under 20.5 -128, under 45 at -110, and then the Eagles -4. Was that -110?
-4, -120. I paid the juice for the 4.
Kai said everyone saw the Niners just score 3 points. They're not going to go under again. Look, it took me a while to get there.
Now instead of going up against the Seahawks, they're going to be going up against the deathly slow Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh,
They're just going to be less possessions for them to eat.
I really do not I try to be so aware of the biases, Kai, so aware. But as I broke this game down, this game is going to be sleepy. At kickoff, there's going to be 19-mile-per-hour winds. Those winds will dissipate a little bit down to 13 or 14. And then the Eagles are just going to put you to sleep. They're going to put you to sleep from a defensive breakdown. Are the Eagles similar to the Seahawks? Maybe you could make an argument saying, well, they're not in that elite defensive tier, but it's going to be very difficult for the 49ers. But I hope you are right, Kai. So, Kai, are you on the over? Because I've not heard many people on the over. Wager Detective is on the 49ers team total over 19.5. Losing Bethune, as my dude talked about, as Troy and I have talked about, it's just it was like it was similar to the Maxwell Hairston thing. I was like, okay, well, this is done. He was playing out of his mind, and you need it when you don't have Warner, who we think is the best linebacker in the league. So there you go. We have 3 bets each. And interestingly enough, the only bet we have the same is that full game under. Troy's on the Eagles -4 and the Niners team total under 20.5.
I'm looking for a money line parlay that I'm seeing a -138 between the Eagles and the Rams because I feel like I'm kind of skewed. I think -138 might be the best I could get. Yeah, you could sign me up for a -138 on the Eagles plus Rams money line for heavy juice. What's killed me this season is if this is the type of bet that's killed me. So tread lightly, but I'm making the move.
I like that. I like that Eagles Rams. I think that makes sense here. To add more, I'm surprised you didn't want the double result. You have some concern about the Niners early?
No, I just cannot win a double result bet to save my damn life, man. And I know I don't want to be results oriented, but at some point it's like, the fuck is going on?
I haven't updated I know somebody a friend, not in a negative way, said the double results aren't catching like they were. At that point, I was 18-14 up, like 4. Just above 4 units. So I haven't checked. That was a month ago. I should probably see where I'm at now because it did slow down. And maybe there's an idea that the double results will catch much cleaner in the first half of the year. Then when things get more important and late. All right, let's roll on. Next up for us is 8 p.m. Eastern. We have Sunday night action. LA Chargers 11-6, 5-3 on the road at the New England Patriots 14-3, 6-3 at home. Gillette Stadium, Foxborough, Massachusetts. I've come very close to betting unders in this one. Very close, but I haven't pulled the trigger yet. 32 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 13-mile-per-hour winds. The winds aren't an issue. The weather's not an issue. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. I have yet to move on this game. Patriots are sitting here at -3.5. I do see a 4 on the board. It opened up at 3.5 and it moved to 4. It got back to 3.5 at 7 in the morning yesterday, and it's there right now, 3.5. So overall, we've had a 5-cent move towards the Chargers. From a total standpoint here, we have the 46. This opened up at 45.5. It climbed to 46 after 2.5 hours. And it's just sat there. Now, it was a really big move to 46. It wasn't just a half-point move because when it reappeared at 46, it was -117 to the over. It was like a 3/4 of a point move. Since then, there's been a 5-cent move towards the under. Take a look at the cash flow here. We got 2 different sites we'll look at. First, we'll look at the odds logic. That says 56% of the tickets, 53% of the cash on the Patriots, 50% of the tickets on the over, and 63% of the cash on the over. We take a look at action to see what they have. They have 64% of the tickets and 60% of the cash on the Patriots. And then on the total here, they have 68% of the tickets and 56% of cash on the over. We have O+ on the Chargers. Rant says under. Chargers offensive line is hurting. I mean, it's been a mess since Alt went down after losing Slater in the top of the season here. Harold Williams very interested in moving on the Chargers here. Fireside is on the Patriots, and he is on the under. Let's roll. We have the Chargers statistical profile first. Their passing offense ranked 14th. The rushing offense ranked 3rd. It's, if that's just their rushing offense PFF. Their run block is horrific. So it's probably not the best stat. It's not as clean as it sounds. Red zone offense ranked 29th. They've been a problem all year. 47.4%. Third down offense ranked 3rd, though. They convert 45.8% of the time. Defense is very strong. Pass defense ranked 7th. Rush defense ranked 11th. Red zone defense 4th. They only allow touchdowns 46.9% of the time. Their third down defense ranked 5th. They allow conversions just 35.2% of the time. 19th ranked pass rush and weak special teams ranked 29th. Coming off a 19-3 loss at Denver with Herbert sitting on the bench. Noise canceled score was 15-4 Broncos. They had no chance to win the division. They treated the game like a bye. They sat a lot of their important starters, Herbert especially, and then Derwin James and Tuli Tuipulotu. Trey Lance was 20-44 for 136 yards and an interception. He also lost a fumble. He led the ground attack with 9 carries for 69 yards. Keenan Allen caught 7 balls for 36 yards. He needed to get the $1 million bonus. He got it quick, left the game. 2 turnovers, 2 drives that ended turnover on downs, and the Denver stopped the Chargers on 11 of their 12 drives. The defense tried to keep them in it. And it was impressive. They held the Broncos to just 4.1 yards per play. There was no reason for the Broncos to take risks. They held the Broncos to 5-15 on third down, 0 of 3 in the red zone. Pass rush finished with 4 sacks, 7 quarterback hits. Quarterback Dante Jackson, also quarterback Lambert Smith, safety Kendall Williamson all got hurt. 3 are all listed as questionable to go this week. And a lot of people thought the Omari and Hampton ankle injury was just for rest. But it sounds like it might be a serious injury. We'll find out on Wednesday, but there's a real chance that Omari and Hampton won't be able to go, which was shocking today. I did not expect that at all. The Chargers defense is so strong. They haven't given up more than 20 points in 6 straight weeks. But this team just can't block for Herbert. Now, the good thing is you don't really need to worry about the Patriots pass rush. But the Chargers ended the regular season last in pass block win rate. Herbert averaged 4 sacks per game in the final 8 weeks. No one's concerned really about the pass rush from the Patriots. LA ended the regular season on a 10-game stretch where it allowed just 92.6 rushing yards per game, 3.8 yards per carry, the second lowest rush success rate at 36.4%. We have seen this Patriots rushing attack blossom. So it's a very helpful thing that the Chargers are able to negate that to some extent. Herbert finished the season with the 4th highest completion rate from a clean pocket. And I understand that the pass block is bad for the Chargers. But, again, I don't need to keep repeating that. I'm not worried about the Patriots pass rush. Let's talk about the Patriots. Passing offense ranked 3rd. Rushing offense 19th. Now, this rushing offense was ranked 32nd. Remember? It wasn't that long ago, Troy. But it's just been a menace of late. Red zone offense 17th. Third down offense 6th. They convert 42.9% of the time. Pass defense ranked 3rd. It's been excellent. Rush defense has been a problem, ranked 19th. Red zone defense has been terrible all year. The 3rd worst red zone defense. They allow touchdown 67.5% of the time. Their third down defense ranked 12th. Pass rush ranked 18th. Special teams are ranked 23rd. Patriots coming off another dominant victory, 38-10 at home over the Dolphins. Noise Kansas scores 36-13, 14-3 the Patriots went. That's the most victory since they won the Super Bowl back in 2016. Outgained the Dolphins 457-180. I mean, Drake May was a beast, 14-18, 191 touchdown, and Joshua Dobbs took over. Hunter Henry caught 5 for 56, but this running attack, Stevenson ran 7 for 131, 2 touchdowns. Henderson ran 13 times for 53 yards, 2 touchdowns. They went 4-5 in the red zone, and they took advantage of a Dolphins defense that was without Chop, without Minka. And then Jordan Brooks dealing with a hamstring injury. Didn't look like himself at all. They looked terrible. Pass rush finished with 4 sacks, 9 quarterback hits, and they have looked stronger of late. Jalen Hawkins had an interception. So Jared Wilson missed the game in concussion protocol. But he's not the biggest issue here. It's Tonga. Tonga dealing with this foot injury. So you have edge defender Harold Landry dealing with a knee injury. Spillane's been dealing with this foot injury ankle injury since early December. But the biggest weakness for the Patriots is the run stop unit. And it was not a huge weakness until Tonga got hurt in the second half. This actually looked like a really good rush defense with Tonga in the lineup for the first half of the year. So Tonga gets hurt, and there's a huge gap in the interior. Now, if the Chargers don't have Amari in Hampton, and it's Vidal, if that's who you're worrying about, it's a much easier thing to stop. But we need to know what's going on with Tonga. We'll get a better idea on tomorrow's injury report. They need him in there. He's a nose tackle that just stops the run. Also, Alex Austin is going to be able to return, we think, at cornerback. That will help. This is a Patriots team that was top 10 in EPA allowed per play and opponent success rate per drop back. They gave the 8th fewest receptions of 20-plus yards. So if Tonga's there, this team is a juggernaut. If not, the Chargers might be able to menace. I was very interested in the under. I've not moved on it. Troy Torrence, take it away. Chargers, Patriots.
So this is a game I do want to see more line movement, but I do have a bet in this game. I just wanted to get my first layer positions down. So I talked about in playoffs between -3.5, -5.5 is a great situation for a home favorite. However, when you start to include that -3 line, it starts to look a lot more 50-50. I mean, if this is going to close between 3 and 3.5, we're looking at a 1 and 2 ATS, very small samples, but I find value in looking at those specific samples because they do include some similar situations with a dominant home team that was fending for the number 1 seed, didn't quite get there, were forced to play a wild card game and lost outright as a big favorite. And it makes sense. I seen someone talking about a metric where home teams that have over 13 wins in a season and have to play in the wild card game because they didn't win their conference, they do not win. They do not cover spreads, which is shocking to say the least. I want to reevaluate this line later in the week, see what happens with it. But I have moved on the Chargers, +4, -115, and a lot of it has to do with fading the Patriots in their weakest strength of schedule, which I'll get into in a minute here. But obviously, this Patriots team is a team that I love to back early in the season. I started to want to fade them as the season went on because I looked at their strength of schedule and what they were doing, and I thought that this team's way too high, being overvalued in the market. They do have a great quarterback. They do have a great coaching staff, and I get that. But the defense is vulnerable. The front is beat up on both sides of the football. Will Campbell returning. I talked a little bit about this earlier, but when you miss so many games towards the end of the season and you come back to the playoffs, you're not in game shape. You haven't had the repetitions to stay sharp. The muscle memory with your first step and hand placement is crucial. Not having that, especially as a young tackle, I feel like it's going to play a factor. Now, it will give him being back, will give Drake May peace of mind. Obviously, he wants him back, and it's just how long will he be able to sustain just elite, right? Because these guys are giving their all. They're willing to die for the spot in the playoffs, and I'll be interested to see how he performs. I'm going to be watching him very closely because I'm fascinated with how that's going to work out. But the strength of the schedule is what this handicap is predicated on. They've only played 2 playoff teams, the Patriots. They went 1 and 2. They split with the Bills and they lost to the Steelers. I feel like the Steelers are a team that shouldn't even be in the playoffs right now. They beat the Tyler Huntley Ravens despite being down 11 points in the fourth quarter. Actually, let's take a look at the last 6 wins for the Patriots. And I might even be able to do this off memory, but let me just pull it up. The Dolphins beat the Dolphins, and they're smacking these teams, right? They're smacking these bad teams. So take it with a grain of salt. Take it for what it is. They beat the Dolphins with Quinn Ewers. They beat the Jets with Brady Cook. They beat the Ravens with Tyler Huntley. They were down 11 in the fourth quarter. Were blessed with a fumble when they were down 7 early in that game. They beat the Giants with Jackson Dart. They beat the Bengals with Flacco, and they probably could have lost that game pretty easily. They beat the Jets with Justin Fields. I mean, it doesn't get any easier than that. That's their last 6 wins. And the Chargers, honestly, are another team that I've been wanting to fade because of their offensive line issues. But are the Patriots, are they the type of team that's going to be able to take advantage of their biggest incompetency of the Chargers? I just don't see it. So look at Quinn Ewers. He was pressured. He had they got a 40% pressure rate on him, but it required a 35% blitz rate. Brady Cook, 32% pressure rate, but required a 44% blitz rate. 32% pressure rate with a 44% blitz rate against Brady Cook. Huntley, 41%, 33%. Josh Allen, 35% pressure rate, 34% blitz rate. I just look at who Justin Herbert's played. I look at his own pressure rates that he's seeing, and if he's going to face maybe a little bit below the average, so let's call it 40% of his dropbacks, being under pressure on 40%, that's a blessing for Justin Herbert. He's going to be like, wow, this is super comfortable back here. I mean, I don't see the Patriots being able to generate a lot of pressure without over blitzing, and I feel like Justin Herbert's going to be the type of quarterback that can beat the blitz. If he doesn't beat it with his arm, we know this Patriots team likes to play man coverage. There's going to be holes. There's going to be paths for Justin Herbert to run. I don't think anybody might be as hungry as Justin Herbert is to get a playoff win. We also know that quality teams that commit to the run find success against the New England Patriots. The Bills, 168 yards, 4.5 yards per carry. The Ravens, 171 yards, 5.2 yards per carry. And I feel like Justin Herbert's going to be able to find 1 or 2 lanes and make a big play to extend a series, extend a drive. And I believe that's going to come to fruition. It's really the Chargers defense, too, that I love in this matchup. You got Minter, who's one of the best young coaches, young defensive minds. He has pedigree and ties to Vic Fangio. The Chargers are top 10. They're 10th overall in PFF defense. This will be the best defense Drake May has seen all season. And I don't think he's seen anybody face the Fangio style of defense, the Fangio principles, the 2 high shell, the cover 2, cover 4, cover 6, the cross match principles, the palms coverage where the secondary's assignments changes based on the number 2 receiver's actions. And I feel like Drake May, maybe the best bet would have been the Chargers early in this matchup. But I did move on the full game. I do think Drake May, it's going to take a little bit for him to be able to adjust because, again, he's been seeing very poor defenses that haven't been able to apply pressure. This will be the first really true test he's had in quite a while. And the Chargers defense hasn't really seen a competent offense at the same time. So, right, it's a double-edged sword because the Chargers defense, who have they really seen? You know, the Eagles, I guess the Cowboys. I mean, they had a great game on the road against the Cowboys. So there's a good data point there, but there's data points are few and far between. The Jaguars have a very similar offensive build. I guess that would be the one team I point to that gives me concern with backing the Chargers is if you look at what happened in the Jaguars game because the Jaguars are pass heavy. They have mobile quarterbacks that rely, who like to throw the deep ball. So if any data point gives me concern, it would be that one right there. I do believe Drake May's MVP caliber. There's just so many things I feel like working against him in this spot, including the number itself. Quarterback at home in his first playoff game. The front on both sides of the ball is not at full strength. Even if they play, they're not going to be at full strength. The Patriots aren't capable of exploiting the weakest part of the Chargers, which is their offensive line. I feel like the coaching matchup is effectively a wash. The quarterback matchup is effectively a wash. And Justin Herbert's going to be way more desperate than Drake May for a playoff win. And obviously, you got the public aping in on the Patriots. I had to take the Chargers +4 in this spot.
Sitting with this and God, Hampton's health would be key. The move to the over is what, gave me a pause for the spot. And, the weather is pretty nice for Gillette Stadium. Birdie talking about the over now. the over is becoming a little more appealing. Do we need to wait to see if Tonga's out and Hampton's in? If we hear on tomorrow's injury report that Tonga is not going to play, points are going to be scored. It's funny now sitting here and studying and reading everybody's comments, which I love, listening to you, going over the stats, going over all those games, especially the road games that the Chargers played. At least they went to Kansas City in the cold and beat them 16-13. So there's some history, and that was the second time they'd beaten them after beating them in Brazil. There's not enough proof of road games. Remember that Dolphins game? That was my biggest bet of the season so far, was on the Dolphins, just because, Alt had been hurt and they were just falling apart.
The defense was falling apart at that point too.
Everything was. So, but there's not, it's hard to find, at Tennessee, they win by 7. The Jaguars lost. Remember, that was right before their bye week, and they were just not, their heads were just not in it. They fell back and down, and Harbaugh's like, just let go of it. The Cowboys is a nice example. I wish that Broncos game had meant something, but maybe then they're more banged up. What do you think about the
Broncos? The defensive performance for the Chargers was pretty damn impressive in that game. I mean, the Broncos were going for a win there, right? And holding them under the 20, it's pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, but I mean, Dennis made a point a while ago. I don't know if I can find it here, but it was. Oh, yeah, he said one thing about New England and Jacksonville's weak strength of schedule is that they did blow out all of these teams.
Yes, yeah.
Unlike Denver.
I mentioned that they when they had these weak, teams on their schedule, they smacked them up. But even that Dolphins game, I mean, that was super close early in that game. That could have been completely different. On the Dolphins' first drive, they were 4th and 1 from the 3-yard line, right? And they go for it and miss it. And that changed the trajectory of that game completely. The Dolphins also had a key fumble where they forced a punt, got the ball back on a 10-yard run, fumble. Not even a ball that was punched out, just one that got popped out, right?
If you were forced to bet the total right now, Aubrey, I've been trying to find out about Tonga because they're just a completely different defense. Completely different defense without the big nose tackle. But if you were forced, if we were sitting in Vegas right now, popped $1,000 on the table and said, "Go bet the total," we split the profits. Where do you go?
So I actually want to go towards the under because I don't think so. Drake May, if you look it up, you'll find that it'll show Drake May that he has better numbers versus 2 high shells. But when I look at all the teams he's played, it's been all cover 1, cover 3 type of teams for the most part. I mean, man coverage. Sometimes you'll see 2-man under, which has a 2 high shell, but it's man coverage. You're going to see zone defense here from the Chargers mostly. And I don't know what to make of that because I don't see it that way. Even if the coverage started with 2 high pre-snap, if it rolls to a cover 3, why are they still grading it out as a 2 high look? So I'm a little bit confused with that, but I don't think Drake May has seen any defense the likes of which he's going to see with the Chargers. And I'm not saying the competency of the defense, just the format, the format, the structure of the defense. So I feel like there's going to be maybe I'd be first half under.
The Patriots have gone over this total in 6 straight games and 8 of their last 9.
They've been a dead nut over team all season because they've been able to stop the run pretty efficiently and they haven't been able to run the ball themselves. But now they're starting to run the ball. It's actually both of those have kind of changed recently, right? So yeah, I don't know. This is tough on the total. I feel like I just want to lean towards the under just because of history in this price range and my belief that Drake May struggles versus this defense.
Bill, it's pretty nice weather overall. It's 32 Fahrenheit, 13 mile per hour winds. It's pretty nice. There's nothing to worry about.
It's nice almost everywhere.
Well, no, it's Chicago. It's not nice, which is going to help us.
It's going to definitely help the under and the Bears.
Yeah, and then in Philadelphia, it doesn't start. It starts not nice and it kind of wanes. And again,
I thought it was only the Bears game. Everywhere else had pretty good weather.
Oh no! The wind dies down during the game, but at kickoff for Niners Philadelphia, it's 19 mile per hour winds. It only dies down to 13 and that's at the very end of the game. So it's not raining or anything.
I love that. I love that.
So I agree with. I think, and Birdie talked about over the half point, over 3. Anything over 3. I mean, how did the Chargers not make this a football game? I just don't see a route where this is a smash and grab, personally. So let's see. I think I join you here. Bill Siebert liking the unders in the Bears game. Yeah, that's the one we like the best. That's also the prime cut from our guy, the Sweaty Butcher here. Urban Pope says 32 degrees with a Los Angeles team. I mean, we said that in Kansas City. It was freezing cold. And they took care of business. Now you could say, well, Kansas City's not very good. Still, playing at Arrowhead's not easy. I think that now it's not a heated field either. The field, there's 5 stadiums with heated fields. We saw it with Acrisure. The heated field helped the offense, surely. All right, let's roll on here. I agree with you here on the Chargers over the field goal. Let's talk about our final spot. So that was our Sunday night live stream. Now we get into our Monday night live stream, the last Monday night live stream of the season. AFC wildcard playoffs, Houston Texans 12-5, 5-3 on the road. Pittsburgh Steelers 10-7, 6-3 at home, Acrisure Stadium, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Weather's nice, 31 Fahrenheit, a little cold, but partly cloudy, 7-mile-per-hour winds. And as we said, it's a heated field. Troy, I've almost bet the first half over and full game over a few times. I'm still interested in it. Maybe this is a spot similar to the Ravens Steelers game where the first half goes under and the full game does go over, but I'm still very interested in the over. This total is a 39.5. It has not moved. It came out a little after midnight on Sunday night, Monday morning. It's not moved a penny. Not one penny. If we go to a similar book that I think is very sharp, they moved it 2 cents to the under and brought it right back to the -1. So it's a sharp line. We have the Steelers +3. This has been bouncing all over the place from 3 to 3.5. This opened up at the +3 at -104. It moved towards them initially. The first few hours the line was available. Then it moved away from them. There was a 10-cent move away from them. The Texans were getting bet, and then it moved to 3.5 last night. This was a 3.5 until 4:15 today. And then, interestingly enough, it got right back to 3.5. At 5:39 p.m. This evening, this moved back to a flat 3, which is what we have right now. We have a flat 3. So overall, there's been 6 cents of movement towards the Steelers, but that hasn't been the case, all the time. Let's get into the cash flow here. We have 62% of the tickets and 69% of the cash on the Houston Texans, according to Odds Logic, and heavy action on the under. 83% of the tickets and 95% of the cash on the under. And this line's not moving to the under. It's just been sitting here at 39.5. I'm looking at Circa. Circa did move it 5 cents towards Texas. They had moved it 10 cents and brought it back 5 cents. Looking around at these legal books, there's only one book that has it at 39, and that is Hard Rock. Hard Rock's been moving this line all over the place. Opened up at a 40, down 39.40, bouncing back and forth. They have it a 39 in the pick 'em. They're the only book with a 39 out there. If we go over to the Action Network, they have 64% of the tickets and 53% of the cash on the over. So bigger bets coming in on the under. And then on the spread, Action has 49% of the tickets and 61% of cash on the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, let's roll here. And Dougie Wise, again, it depends where you look. 62% of the tickets, 69% of cash, according to Odds Logic on the Texans is one thing. It's not the 83% of tickets and 95% of the cash that's on Jacksonville. 75% of the tickets and 88% of cash that's on the Rams. This is all according to Odds Logic. So, but this site says they are public. I use the 60% as the threshold. If we go to Action, it has 49% of tickets, 61% cash on the Steelers. So it, of course, depends what sites you're looking at. Let's roll into the statistical profile of the Houston Texans. Passing offense ranked 17th, rushing offense ranked 18th. Both have been problems at different points of the season. Red zone offense has been a problem all year long. third worst in the NFL. They score touchdowns 46.3% of the time. Third down offense ranked 23rd. They convert 37.2% of the time. Their defense is very strong. Second ranked pass rush in the NFL. Sixth ranked pass defense. Seventh ranked rush defense. 16th ranked red zone defense. And the sixth ranked third down defense. Very, very good. Special teams ranked 14th. Texans coming off their 9th straight victory, a 38-30 win at home over the Colts. It's not that important. Of course, D'Amico Ryans saw that Ward got hurt and the Jags were pulling away, and he pulled everybody in the second half. The Texans' average margin of victory in this 9-game winning streak is 6.9 points. They've scored 26.2 points per game during the winning streak. The noise-canceled score was 24-23 Texans. So they rested. Stroud was rested. Will Anderson, Daniil Hunter, Derek Stingley. There were a bunch of players that were arrested. Davis Mills came in, did very little. Stroud looked okay, 14-23, 169 yards and a touchdown first half. British Brooks led with 13 carries on the ground for 63 yards. Xavier Hutchinson caught 5 passes for 84 yards, but the pass rush was meek in a meaningless game. Elijah Huzzle had an interception. They have a very, very strong defense. We start with Anderson, Daniil Hunter, and Stingley, but God, Petrie's got to be a part of that puzzle. And the issue right now is Kamari Lassiter's hurt. He missed Sunday's game. We'll get into that in a second. But this group allowed 17.3 points per game and 277.2 yards per game. Both of those set franchise records for the Texans. Hunter was third in the NFL with 15 sacks. That's second in his career at 16.5 in 2023. 15 tackles for a loss, 22 quarterback hits, 3 passes defense, 3 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery. Anderson tied for 4th in the NFL with 20 tackles for a loss. What a beast. 12 sacks, 23 quarterback hits, 3 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries. Of course, he was the 2023 AP Defensive Rookie of the Year. He's a beast. Stingley, 4th player in franchise history to have at least 15 passes defense in consecutive seasons. He was a monster. 19 interceptions, were tied for 3rd in the NFL and 3rd most in franchise history. And Lassiter is an issue. It's unclear if he's going to be ready to go against the Steelers. We'll find out we'll have a better idea with tomorrow's injury report, Wednesday injury report, of course. And then, this is a Monday game, so he's an extra day. And running back Jawar Jordan hurt his ankle. We'll get a better idea on that as well. Talk about the Steelers. Passing offense ranked 22nd, rushing offense 23rd, red zone offense 11th, third down offense 15th. Now, we saw in that first game against the Ravens, Rodgers starting to take onus over throwing deep, stretching defenses, and things changed for the team. Passing defense ranked 20th, rush defense ranked 14th, red zone defense ranked 7th, being very good. Third down defense being bad all year, and this is a 4th ranked pass rush, which I don't see, and special teams ranked 13th. Steelers coming off a wild 26-24 victory at home over the Ravens. Noise canceled score was 27-22 Steelers. They claimed their first AFC North title in 5 years, and of course, it was all help because of this missed 44-yard field goal by Tyler Loop. Aaron Rodgers was 31-47 for a season-high 294 yards, touchdown, no picks. Ravens pass rush got no pressure on Rodgers. It's been a problem all year. Ravens finished with 2 sacks, 3 quarterback hits. Now, this Texans pass rush will be very different. Jalen Warren ran 14 times for 66 yards. Kenneth Gainwell led receivers with 8 catches for 64 yards. The offense looks strong despite not having DK Metcalf, who was serving the final 2 games of his 2-game suspension. Also, their giant tight end was out as well. And we'll get a better idea whether he will be back. Of course, DK will be back. We'll see if Washington's back too. They went 9-16 on third down, 2 of 4 in the red zone. Steelers dominated time of possession, 34-11 to 25-49. But the defense did struggle to control the Ravens. The Ravens averaged 7.5 yards per play. And while the Steelers did allow big plays, they have that bent but don't break mentality. They're a veteran defense. The Ravens didn't get a single play in the red zone. Not one red zone opportunity. Pass rush had 3 sacks, 5 quarterback hits. TJ Watt had an interception. And now the Steelers are looking to end their 10-year playoff drought. They last won a postseason game in 2016. Tomlin has said we are healthy and everybody is available. So TJ Watt, all good after that collapsed lung. He came and played well. Well, played well enough. He didn't play that many snaps, but he played well enough. Also, James Pierre and Brandon Echols both missed time down the stretch with lower body injuries. Both came back week 18. They're good to go. So you have Echols and Pierre alongside Joey Porter Jr. So the offensive side of the ball also will get Sumalo. Isaac Sumalo missed 2 games over the final 3 weeks. He's good to go here. Pittsburgh has not looked good against quality opponents. Their last 4 games against postseason-bound teams, they allowed 29.3 points per game and lost 4 straight. I want the over. I think this is too low of a total. but it's not moving a cent. Clearly a sharp line. And I wanted to hear everybody's take on it before I moved on it. I also did have some interest in the Steelers if I paid for the 3.5. They clearly have momentum. You know, in March Madness, you see a team win off of a prayer 3-pointer that bounces around and goes in, and it just feels like the pressure is off them. They're loosey-goose. They start believing in themselves, and they get together. What do you think of this one, Troy? Texans Steelers.
So I believe I look at this low total, and historically in the database, so if we go back to 2022 season, 2022 playoffs, that the playoffs that happened in 2023, but it's from the 2022 season, there's been 3 games with a total of 41 or less. All 3 of those games were spreads of 7.5 or bigger, and the home team covered, or the favorite covered all 3 of those games. 2 of the 3 games went over, but they went over by the thinnest of margins. So it's a really sharp line, and I feel like if it does go over, we're going to see this land 41, 43. If it goes under, it's going to land 36, 37, right in that range. I feel like this is a very sharp total. I do believe the Texans have the advantage in this game, and that's not going to surprise anybody after where I was just a week ago on this Ravens team, or on that Ravens team. Listen, I believe the Steelers got lucky to sneak into the playoffs and absolutely torch my money last week. The difference when Kyle Hamilton was on the field and off the field was night and day. We know how much that player means to that defense, especially when they don't have a pass rush. With Kyle Hamilton in the game, the Steelers had 3.9 yards per play. When he was out of the game, they scored how many points? They had 3 points up until that point, right? 3.9 yards per play. Take them out, over 6 yards per play. They put up all their points. And I also think that looking at that game, looking at it back, I hate the way Lamar Jackson played. I wish Tyler Huntley had started at quarterback. Too many early mistakes, missed reads. I feel like he clearly looked uncomfortable in the pocket. Sure, like he made big plays. I mean, massive plays that I don't think Tyler Huntley would be able to replicate. There's no doubt about it. But the down-to-down success just wasn't there. And I don't think it's going to necessarily be there for the Texans. But I do think the Texans have that deep ball ability, that deep strike. They have 2 great receivers, 2 downfield threats. They have a quarterback that likes to sling it downfield. I feel like they can find success against the Steelers' off defense. And the Steelers' offense, I mean, I just talked about kind of my feelings on what happened that last game with Kyle Hamilton coming off the field. We know how much he means. My handicap has not changed on this team. They struggle to generate line yards in the rookie. They lack weapons to threat. Even with one guy back, that doesn't change the fact that they lack weapons to threaten the defense vertically, especially when they play so many damn tight ends. And they have a quarterback whose arm is waning and failing him as he grows with age. Lowest ADOT in the NFL. This is going to be by far the best defense the Steelers have played. I don't want to say by far. This has been the best defense that the Steelers are going to play all season. And Aaron Rodgers versus elite defenses, when he's played the Browns, the Seahawks, the Chargers, and the Packers, let's isolate those numbers. Let's compare them to the rest of his season. So versus those 4 teams, so it's 5 games because they played the Browns twice, he's had a 59% completion rate. Versus everyone else, 69%. His yards per attempt are 5.8. Versus everyone else, 7.1. Passer rating, 77. Versus everybody else, 104. PFF grade 63 versus others 70. 6 touchdowns, 4 picks against the best defense. 18 touchdowns, 3 picks against the rest of the field. There's a clear difference of performance, and I feel like the step up in defense is going to be pretty clear in this game, especially with the pass rush to pair with the ability to cover in the secondary. And I do believe the Steelers defense looked a lot better than I expected versus Baltimore. And it's hard to tell how much was Lamar Jackson, even though he posted some pretty impressive numbers. There's some things that I feel like was missed in the PFF grade. I just don't know how much we should allocate to Lamar versus how much we should allocate to the Steelers defense. Lamar and the play calling versus Steelers defense and their competency in general. But they still have shown vulnerabilities against the run, which is really the only path to consistent success for Houston. As soon as those safeties start to creep up in the box, if they're running the ball effectively, the safeties creep up. And this will you be able to strike them over the top. And the Steelers have shown just this past game that they have the ability to get beat deep. and the Texans have the receivers to do so. And where the Steelers the most vulnerable is against the competent rushing attack. I'm not saying that the Texans are a competent rushing attack, although the Texans have been running the ball more effectively since Woody Marks had taken over the backfield around week 10. And the Steelers struggle versus vertical passing game. I feel like the Texans check one of those boxes. I don't know if they're going to have a competent rushing attack in this game, but I don't feel like it's off the table. You can't just write it off. And I recall back to last year, I was on the Texans in the wild card game. They got ousted. They should have beaten Kansas City. Very unfortunate loss. And I believe this team, with this defense, has the pedigree to make a run in the playoffs. This is a team that I would be considering moving on in the futures market. I know C.J. Stroud, he hasn't been great, but I know he's a capable quarterback. If they can find success on the ground, the offense will just need to be able to do enough to get them over the hump with this defense. So I just doubt the Steelers are going to be able to generate enough offense to take on this Texans defense, especially in the red zone. I mentioned top 4 defenses they've seen. We've seen Rodgers struggle. The team's record in those games, 1-4 straight up and ATS. The only win and cover was against the Browns, who were flying back from overseas with the Dylan Gabriel, a rookie quarterback, in his first true road start. And I look at the line. I look at this 3, and I didn't even touch on this. There's only one team since 2022 that's opened up as a dog of 3 points. Only one. That team lost by 17 points. The line opened Bucks +3. They closed Bucks +2. And they got smacked, regardless of that line movement. Now, I don't know what we're going to see this line close. I do think it's going to close 3. And that's why I moved on the Texans -3. But I feel like this is a very representative game. I'm talking about the Cowboys-Bucks game. What happened in that Bucks season? The Bucks went 8-8 that season. Week 18, they sat everybody because they already won the division, that weak-ass division that they play in. They were 8-8. Steelers, 8-8. Cowboys went 12-5 on that season. Are the Texans 12-5? I'm pretty sure they are.
They are.
I feel like the market's very similar. I wouldn't be shocked to see this line move down to 2.5, or up to 3.5 for that matter. But I do think 3 is a good number to take with the Texans.
Texans -3 here.
You know I love fading these home dogs +3.
Dougie Wise, I disagree with that. Dougie Wise saying talking to Dennis Garcia, but he says Ravens defense isn't on the same planet as Houston. They were neck and neck as the best defenses in the NFL. Well, the Rams were better than them, but the Ravens were a top 5 defense over the last 7 or 8 weeks, depending on what amount of time.
What type of defense are they without Kyle Hamilton?
Oh, it just fell apart. The concussion in the third quarter. I mean, but I just mean statistically speaking.
Yeah, and the only difference really is the pass rush. Like the coverage was extremely solid from the Ravens. The run defense was extremely solid for the Ravens. It was the pass rush that's the differentiator between these two teams, and that's not a big factor in this game. You didn't hear me talk about the pass rush very much because the low ADOT, Aaron Rodgers is going to get the ball out of his damn hand pretty fast. So the question again comes down to will the Steelers be able to execute in the red zone?
Well, I think the Steelers' defense is worse than the statistical profile that we have on them, and I think that's what a lot of Dougie and a lot of guys are talking about, that the Birdie and Dougie, they're talking about the Steelers not being that good of a defense, and I think it's fair to say that this is a 20th ranked pass defense, 14th ranked rush defense. So I agree with them on that take. I think that enough points are scored to get over 39.5. I do too.
I do too.
Because the Texans are going to be able to score on the Steelers. And the Steelers are going to have to answer and take risks and take shots. So I'm with the guys on, let's attack.
And Boswell's going to be extremely effective putting 3 points on the board when they do get into field goal range. I think they're going to be there. They're going to be able to move the ball. It's just what happens when that field starts to shrink. And I do think you're leaning the right way. I would be on the over in this spot.
And Tommy didn't just say that saying Ravens don't generate pressure. They're still statistically a top 5 defense over the second half of the season, despite the pressure. So I hear you guys. So this is a very different defense than the Ravens. Don't get me wrong. But obviously there was two halves of the football game. I mean, when Kyle Hamilton got concussed halfway through the third quarter, that second half football game was completely different. We saw that all year. They got the Alohi Gilman trade. Alohi Gilman, and it's so funny that not funny, but it's Alohi Gilman who ran into him. It was, but as soon as they got Alohi Gilman, it opened up the door for Kyle Hamilton to be a weapon. Again, that's a different.
And Wiggins got hurt too. Did he come out of the game or did he go back in?
I have to go take a look again. I'll have to take a look, but man, I want to bet the over. My concern is it? I mean, it's right now they're saying 83% of tickets, 95% cash is on the under, and this isn't moving a cent. I think it's a sneaky over.
I think it is a sneaky over. I do. I mean, I think we could see some type of big defensive play, short field because of a turnover, things like that. One short field, one defensive score, a touchdown will be enough to put this game over the total. It's so low. I mean,
I'll tell you what, I hear that. Oh, it was tough, man. Yeah. It was a tough game that we all watched. Fireside said if you're on the over, through pure explosive plays.
Explosive plays and turnovers.
Yeah. We have a heated field in the cold, a Steelers team that believes in themselves, getting DK back who wants to prove something. I'm not saying I'm not pushing myself towards Steelers. I just think that points can be scored in this football game. At 39.5, we can get over that. And I wonder if I should not bet the first half over, only the full game over, but God, okay. Birdie says, I wonder how teams do the week after Miracle wins. I think it helps teams, but I don't have any statistical basis to say that to you guys. I just think it helps teams. It's more of a vividness bias in March Madness, you know. I mean, this team believes, man. It believes. Troy is on the Texans -3. What was the VIG you got?
Not good. -120.
-120.
This week I'm shooting for negative CLV. Let's see if I do any better.
AM, it's 31 Fahrenheit on Monday night at kickoff. It's a little, it's cold. Philly, you're right. Philly's a little warmer, but Philly has the wind. Philly is at God, how many notes? 43 Fahrenheit. So you're right. It's Philly's warm. Now Philly's also at 4:30 p.m. It gets colder as the game goes on. So Vincent saying bet it live. I'll figure out exactly whether or not I should double down on it. I look at you talked about the Texans' deep threats, and we know what Nico Collins does in playoff time. He's an absolute monster. Pittsburgh's allowed 29.3 points per game over their last 4 games against playoff opponents. They've lost them all. Now, I do believe that group of men believe in each other after what happened, after beating the Ravens, after they believe in each other. They're staying at home. In saying that, I'm not rushing or wanting to bet the Steelers, but I do believe in what AM is saying. And AM said, it seems like the public sentiment will be the Steelers don't deserve to be here, and the Ravens public, who got rinsed last week, will go right back and emotionally fade the Steelers again. I think that's possible. I just think the over is the bet here. And I think I move on it. Aubrey asking if I'm bullish on the over. No. If I was bullish on the over, I would have come here already bet the over. I needed to talk it out with everybody. That is our wild card show for Tuesday, January 6th, 2026. Thank you guys for rocking with us, man. You guys have been so important to the growth of our show. This is season 3. Troy and I have been working together, and we thank you guys enormously. Let's review all action. Troy, and stop me if I make a mistake or anything, but Troy's on the Rams -10, -116. I'm still interested in unders in that game. Not going to move on it tonight. Troy's on the Bears -106. I'd love to get there. I think I'll just have to use them in the pools and in our confidence pool. Jose, do you mind playing the confidence pool video one more time? We kind of got late to setting it all up, but you can sign up for tickets right now on our website. I am on unders, though, in the Bears game. Those are the only – I've made 5 bets. I'm on the first half under 23.5 and the full game under 47. It costs 10 cents for the under 23.5 minus 129 cents for the under 47. And, Troy, you're not on totals in that game at all. That's just the Bears side.
Correct.
Then Troy's on the Bills minus 113. I want to be involved with the Bills. I'm just so angry about the Maxwell Harrison thing. Maybe I'm just keying on it for too long here. They are getting reinforcements back. Dennis Garcia telling us to get some Philly futures here. Then we have our next spot on, and I look. It's fascinating what you said about the over. It's fascinating that Dennis is now moving on the under. I thought it was a very sharp move from 52 to 51.5 when everybody was talking about the overs. Then Harrison gets announced out and then moves up. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Here is the game that Troy and I have nailed, hammered. Troy's on the Niners team total under 20.5. He's on the under 45 in Niners Eagles, and he's on Eagles minus 4, and he's adding the Eagles Rams money line parlay. I like that, adding the money line parlay to get a little more down.
Yeah. On the side, because I had 2 units on the total.
I have the first half under 23. I was very pleased to get minus 116 on that.
Yeah, that's.
I have the full game under 45 at minus 116. I was pleased because I was late to the party. And then I have the Eagles double result at plus 110. So those are the only bets that I've placed thus far. Oh no, Miles. Sorry, yeah. It's minus 106 on the money line that he has the Bears at, Miles. So then we have in our next spot, we have Troy on the Chargers plus 4 minus 115. And after breaking it down with everybody, I'm interested in betting that tonight. I'm interested in adding that tonight. I don't know if I'll get the 4. I'll have to decide how expensive it is. It's going to be a little more expensive than the nickel cost Troy. Then Troy's on the Texans minus 3, minus 120. And I want overs in both games. That is our show for today. Thank you, guys. Wager Detective. You've supported us throughout the whole year. It means a ton to us. So many of you guys have. Dennis Garcia, Miles Johnson, Harold Williams, Bill Siebert, Andrew G., Urban Pope Mozenia. What a great group. Dougie Wise, AM, Guillermo Zertucci. Great group. Aubrey Travis, thank you. My Dude, Birdie, Vincent Hawkins. Tell me you didn't just say that. Fireside, Crip Key. So many of you guys have backed us every single week here. And I can tell you it was a tremendous relief to only have 6 games. I came in here like, I'm sick. My whole family's sick, so we're struggling health-wise, but it felt so good not just to be completely destroyed. Every time I finished capping like 4 minutes before the show starts, I'm just annihilated. So this was nice. Victor, thank you, my man. Fireside, Luke Burrow, much love to you. Nicholas Handy, thank you. Fireside on the over 51.5 in Bills, Jaguars, under 44.5 Niners, Eagles, Bears plus 1.5, under 46.5 Chargers, Pats, and Steelers money line. Thank you guys so much for all that you do for us. Thank you to our producer, Jose Bouquet, who works tirelessly behind the scenes. Thank you, Jose, my man. And to my guy, Troy Torrence. I'm excited about attacking the playoffs with you. It's just so helpful for all of us watching you work, watching you cap. And I'm looking forward to see you bounce back from a very, very, very tough field goal. We were thinking about you, but I'm telling you, man, the armor just grows thicker because our unit size is going up. And we're going to have worse losses than that. If all goes according to plan, there's going to be worse losses than that moving forward, and they won't phase us because of what we've been through and our experience in this world that we care so much about. So keep fighting the good fight. We believe in you. As always, Troy. Take us home, my man. Take us home.
I guess they'll phase me, but temporarily. It won't be extended. I guess I can't help but get emotional in the temporary state after you take a big loss like that. But within 24 hours, I pretty much moved on. And historically, back to the old me when I was gambling on Madden games, playing high-stake cash games, playing blackjack, putting max bet on 2 pins, and I'm getting dealt a 20 on a true count to +3, and the dealer pulls the blackjack. Same fucking deal. You just can't let that phase you. I'm doing my best to move on here. I love the slate. I'm happy we got 6 games, and I know that next week it's going to feel even more barren. So I'm trying to enjoy it while it lasts. Football's a beautiful thing. It's going to be a beautiful week, and we are going to go undefeated this week. And on that note, Pub Sports Radio, the best damn community in the industry. There's only one thing left to do this week, and it's to go out there and let's shade those bookmakers.
Milk them. The NFL regular season is finished. Does that mean that opportunities to make money here on Pub Sports Radio have come to an end? No!
The NFL playoffs are here, and so is the Pub Sports Radio Confidence Pool. $100 to enter, with only 3% going to cover credit card fees. And as always, top 10% gets paid.
There are 13 NFL playoff games culminating in the Super Bowl in Santa Clara, California. 6 games in the wild card round, 4 in the divisional round, 2 in the conference round, and then the Super Bowl, which means you have 13 slots to fill. And you have to decide how confident you are on each game. Now, these picks are straight up. They are not against the spread. Each week, before the kickoff of the first game, you must have your picks in, pubsportsradio.com. So your most confident bet of the entire playoffs would fill your 13th slot. Your least confident spot, the one you question and you're not sure of, will be the number 1 slot. And you fill in these slots as we go through the playoffs. The capper with the most points, when it's all said and done, wins the confidence pool.
Sign up right now at pubsportsradio.com.
Get that cash. Get it. Get it.